first time. Yeah.
When you see somebody like Joe Rogan being suspicious about it, it make me questions because he knows a lot of people. He definitely has.
Yeah, he definitely knows a lot of people, and he's talked about a lot of subjects, and but is he an expert in these subjects because he's talked to a lot of experts? Probably not.
Probably not.
It's tough to say. It really is.
You know what? We're live. Let's.
Oh, great.
I'm gonna make sure the setting, because last time we went live and the setting was on private. I want to make sure it's set on public.
All right, sure.
Okay, it's good.
Okay.
Edit privacy. Yeah, no, we're live. What's up, James? How you doing today? We got a lot to talk about.
Great. Let's get it going.
My boy James Mckinnon, the local crusher. Let's fire off.
Appreciate
it. What's a spot where most players think they're playing GTO but are actually torching chips, in your opinion?
I did some thinking about that, and I think that it all depends on what we consider GTO, right? I mean, I think the term GTO is probably misapplied more often than it's correctly applied, in my opinion. There's so much talk about, I'm GTO this, I'm GTO that, I'm exploit this, I'm exploit that, I'm a combination. I mean, the simplest definition, in my opinion, of GTO is playing to where you can't be exploited, right? You're going to play against another player that's playing GTO, and you're basically trying to come out to a net zero where no money can be made by either player. It's a negative, negative. So I think the easiest place to learn GTO is in our pre-flop ranges, right? We're going to open this from under the gun, 13%, 15%, whatever. And then, we're going to end up opening 40 to 50% on the button. This is all in, chip EV or whatever. But then, as soon as we get out of the pre-flop mode and we're on the flop, it gets so incredibly complicated with the different bet sizings, the different flops, the different opponents. Are we really going to try to play GTO? And so, I mean, honestly, I think that people try to play GTO, and even the high stakes crushers are, making mistakes all the time trying to apply GTO. I read the Sam Greenwood blog every morning, Punt of the Day. And he's making mistakes all the time, and he goes back and reviews them, and he's like, GTO, the computer says I can do this here, but I should have been adjusting for this because this player is not doing that. And so,
James, where is the Punt of the Day? Where at? Is it Instagram?
It's on Punt of the Day is an email I get from him, but it's on Substack. You can find it on Substack. But it comes into my mailbox every morning. It's a short form written about a certain hand that he picks. And, with all the poker content that's out there, I really find it refreshing because it's short form. It's, you're reading about it. It breaks down a certain topic of a certain hand each day. And so it gives me a jump start of my poker thinking in the morning. And I kind of use that as a jump start or a leap into, if I'm going to study for that day, this is an interesting subject. I should study something about that, or I never really thought about that way. Maybe I should dig more deeply into that later. But it's excellent, and he's a really good writer, and it's interesting. He's got a little humor in there, and it's a different form because everything's either video form or these YouTube shorts or everything's so long, or if you're reading something, it's in a like a poker class. It's this huge, expanded, dense topic. This, he just breaks down one hand, and it's where he's making mistakes. Usually about 80% of it's his hands, and then he'll break down other hands that other people play. And it's just really fantastic stuff. And I've been subscribing now probably for about 8 months. I think it's probably about a year old. He started doing it, but it's great content. It really
You
is.
know what from what you mentioned, you said he makes mistakes all the time. First of all, when we talk GTO, that word is being thrown around so much, especially like used by people that never studied, or maybe like they memorized a few charts and now they think they're playing GTO. They don't understand that like, to get to that level, it takes so much studying and so much time in the lab and running sims. And but these people have never run a sim in their life probably, and they throw the word, oh, you play GTO, just because like they have like 5 charts on their phone. Now they think they're playing GTO.
Right. They're going to play a GTO pre-flop range, but then when they choose B33, range bet, early position versus big blind, one that's depending on the board, that might not even be correct. And then so, if we're splitting our range and doing B20 or B100 on an ace Broadway low board versus the big blind from early, and now we've bet 100 and they continue. Now what do we do on the turn, right? And so like we're in this game tree that unless you've studied every board from every position at every stack depth and have not memorized it, but you have good heuristics and know exactly, then you're not playing GTO. You might have a jump off point where you started playing GTO and now you're kind of somewhere out in the nether and you're hoping that you're still playing GTO. But I would say 95+% are just kind of playing pre-flop GTO ranges if they've got those memorized correctly, and then they're just kind of winging it from there. Just as what poker is basically. It's a game of limited information, and we're all just kind of, winging it to the best of our ability. And some ability is better, and some ability is worse. And so we're not computers, so we're never going to get to the point where we're playing perfect.
And I like when people judge a player. We'll be on break and somebody would mention a player that's like a crusher and they've made one mistake, and they would judge that player on that one hand, not knowing that like you said, mistakes are being done every session. And they'll be like, oh, so did this and did that, and the hand will be like a torch, will be like a complete blunder. What comes to mind is like Kristen Foxen.
Like the Kings fold
are insane. Yeah, she folded kings and she got like butchered online. People, you know, saying, oh, that's a slam dunk, call this and that. But you can't judge players on just one. Like yesterday, I torched that Derby. I have a king. The guy opens like the blinds are 2K. He opens 9.5K. Like, right away, it's a big hand, and I should have slowed down right away. I jammed. I have him covered. I have about 90K. He has about 40K ish. He had about like 48K, 24, 23, 24 bigs.
Sure.
He opens huge right away because they telegraph their hand. I jam ace king, goes back to him. He goes in the tank. He goes in the tank for like 10 seconds, calls, and I turn my hand. He turns aces. I said, oh, you have to think about it? Like, because we had a little dynamic, I played a hand against him, and I thin value bet the river. And there was a guy at the table, I'm not going to mention his name, but he gave me shit about thin value betting with queen 9 on a 9-high board. When the guy check call flop, check call turn, like the check call range is never strong. Like those people don't have traps. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a weak one pair hand or an under pair. So the board was like 9-5-3. Monotone board, clubs. I have queen of clubs, a queen 9 off. I don't know if I should say that on the bun. I'm not doing that much folding, so that's why that guy that made
off is a fine open, even cutoff. I would say
no, I didn't open. I called. It's a little definitely loose call, but I make up for it post flop. I know it's a loose call. Like I know it's a mistake pre flop, but on the bun I'm not doing. I don't even know if I should give this information, but anyway, I went post flop. This is not GTO. It's not theoretical. This is something I do. And it kind of sounds dumb when some fish sometimes say like oh, I don't believe in studying, but I do this because this is my style or something. No, you can't deviate too much from theory. You're gonna have gaps in your game. But this is something I do, and I know post flop exactly. My hand reading ability is good enough to outplay these players. Sometimes, sometimes I'm gonna be dominated. But anyway, the whole point is I went for a thin value bet on the river, and the guy next to me he's like, Queen 9, you're betting the river? Like I said, maybe instead of criticizing, you should take notes. And he didn't like the comment.
Well, I mean, if he's going to call, why not bet the river? I mean, if he's a station,
it wasn't villain.
Let's go for value.
It was a third person that's not in the hand, but he said he gave me shit because I'm thin value betting Queen 9 on a monotone. Because when the board is scary, they scare check on the river and they're not getting value. Right. You know, I thin value bet river. If I get played back at, I simply fold it. It's not that hard. You get that information you need. But anyway, my point is, you talk GTO. Give us a little example of how much studying you've done, what material you've studied. Was it whether site, a book you recommend?
Okay. Yeah. Well, I guess my first real dip into big time study was I did the Raise Your Edge course by Bencb. I've also done a little bit on the Upswing course before that, but I didn't really get too far into that before Raise Your Edge came out.
Which Upswing masterclass was it? The Pratush Buddiga?
Pratush's, and also Nikki Petrangelo's.
Okay.
So I did those, but to be honest, they were both good. Don't get me wrong, both excellent. Nicholas Petrangelo's especially. But you know, that was probably 10 years ago, and there's honestly a difference in my my studying, how much I'm applying myself. You know, and you know, just watching the videos and taking the occasional note you're not going to learn it to the level you need to. So, and even with the Raise Your Edge, you know, I've been through that course 3, 4, 5 times, and I've taken note after note after note. And if you don't sit there and go through, like apply that later in practice away from the table, and that's once I got kind of all over the place here, but once I got GTO Wizard, being able to run the practice sims and play in an environment where you can, you know, say you can consolidate it down to hijack raises. What am I calling from the button? How am I playing post flop in this configuration? This, that, and the other, and just repeating that 50 hands, 100 hands, 200 hands to where you're like ingraining it in yourself. That's when I really started to see a leap in my play and in my retention of the knowledge.
So what do you think took your game to the next level? All of them combined, or was it Raise Your Edge? Was it Upswing?
Yeah, I would say a little bit of everything, honestly. Everybody's got something to teach that they do a little bit better than the next person. You know, even the people that are terrible at poker have the ability to do something better than your average. They're going to see it.
You just put the nail in the coffin, because every great businessman I've been around and anybody that accomplished anything in life said that statement, that you can learn even from the bad, like in poker, for example, even the bad players are doing something. I love that statement.
Something right.
You're learning from, even because some people are like, have too much ego. You're like, oh, this guy's a fish or clueless. They discredit somebody right away, and there's like, it's almost like there's nothing to learn from that person. You're right. Sometimes I'll be at the table and a complete fish at Hard Rock might be doing something that's making my job difficult, and I'm learning from what I'm like, okay, I like that move on the turn. I'm gonna, you know, incorporate it in my game. I love that statement. Good one.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
Coming from Upswing into Raise Your Edge, and then just a lot of GTO training and on the GTO Wizard, which I highly recommend. I mean, it's expensive. It's like $1,200 for a year or whatever for that. But, you know, $100 a month, it pays for itself. It really does, if you use it. Now, if you sit around and, you know, run a sim once every 2 weeks, you know, is it going to pay for itself? Probably not. But But I found that the leap in my game when I really started applying myself fully to at least 2 to 5 hours worth of study a week, usually more, and really breaking down. I got in the Faraz class. I really enjoy and just learn well from Thomas Boyven's coaching style, Faraz himself, Daniel DeVoris. I did a little bit of his videos on Run It Once. I really found that he relayed information the way, and you know, that's another thing. You uptake information from a different teacher style. Like, you got to find your right teacher or coach, because you know, some people will be excellent at relaying information to one person, and then I just can't get it, you know, and then I'll go and this other guy will be telling the same stuff but saying it in a different way, and then you uptake
delivery.
The delivery, the just how, you know, people's brains work differently. So, you know, some people are more visual, some people are more analytical.
I'm like that with Bencb. I don't like delivery. Like, he might be a genius in poker, and he's a crusher.
Yeah,
his delivery just like doesn't mesh with my style. I can't. I listened to the Bencb Raise Your Edge masterclass. I couldn't take that. A friend of mine sent me his login and password, and he actually gave it to me. We swapped. I gave him Upswing masterclass. He gave me the Raise Your Edge.
Yeah,
I couldn't finish it. I watched a couple of episodes and I just stopped it because his broken English, the delivery wasn't great.
Yeah,
and some people swear by it, like Fabian Foster. Shout out to the Black Mamba. He swears by it, and he crushes. Like, Fabian crushes poker, and all he studied was Raise Your Edge. Like, he memorized all the charts. But anyway,
yeah.
So let's we talked about this last time. One thing I want to mention is playing against you is definitely tough. You definitely put people in spots. That's why I had you on, because I'm impressed with your, like, how dialed in you are at the table, and you bring that every time. There's a little alcohol involved sometimes, but you stay focused.
In league, yes.
In league.
Yeah, Thursday nights, I allow myself some beverages for sure.
You get out of line a little bit, but when you're dialed in, and I see, like, I take notes who's in the zone and who's not, and you bring like some intensity to your game. I love it. Even the way you stack your chips, like, you can tell who the crushers are from the way they stack their chips.
Sure. How they move their chips around, how they hold themselves at the table, for sure.
100%. The everything, the way they shuffle, just the little things, little nuances. But how do you bring that dialed in state every time to the game? This is a staple question on the podcast. Is there exercise you do, yoga, supplements, any? Let's hear it.
A little bit of everything, to be honest. I like routine when I'm going to be playing, especially if it's going to be an extended week or two. You know, if I'm out at the series and playing, or I'm at a Hard Rock series or something, I have to be in a routine. Usually starts with some coffee and some cardio in the morning. Get the heart rate up, get the blood flowing.
What's your preferred cardio?
I ride the Peloton, so I do about 10 miles on the bike. That takes about 30 minutes. I will usually do about a 10-minute meditation after that to kind of calm the mind, which the body's going, the mind is already worn out a little bit because my body's physically tired at that moment right off the bike. And then I do 10 minutes, allows me to kind of like settle my mind, because in the morning, I'm kind of a morning person. So my mind is, I got to do this today. I got to do that. I got to do this. If I go into the poker tournament thinking about, you know, what I got to get done in my life, or what happened yesterday, or what my wife's doing, or this, that, or the other, it's not going to be good. I'm not going to be able to be focused and locked in, bringing my A game, like you said. So 30 minutes cardio, 10 minutes of meditation, and then quick shower. And then I like to be early. I don't like to feel rushed going into the game. I'm usually an on time, maybe first level Regger of the
Okay,
tournament.
so you show up on time. Interesting.
I do usually. You know, if it's a really lower buy-in tournament and the structure isn't that great, then I can kind of see myself skipping a couple levels because there'll still be spots. You know, I mean, let's be honest. The weak players are going to bust the quickest on average. And so when you register on time, you're there to a softer field, no matter what the buy-in is. So there's more money to be made. Now, I know there's the whole argument of, you know, time per, per hour and, you know, how much time you're going to spend and this, that, and the other. And you're actually closer to the money if you max late reg. And yeah, but like that works online when you've got 100 tournaments going on during the day. The max late regging a flight of the Hard Rock, a 500 or whatever, I can bust first hand. I got 25 bigs, 20 bigs. Sometimes they take it down to like 15 bigs, depending on the structure, right? So like I'm going to register, bust one hand, and then I got to turn around and drive home. I can't just instantly register another tournament like I can online. Online, I can late reg for sure. I'll late reg all the way up. It doesn't matter. But fields are weaker early. You get more play. You're on average going to build bigger stacks. I'm definitely an on-time register. So I don't like to, back to the original question, I don't like to show up late. I don't like to feel rushed. That allows me, once again, once I've calmed my mind, I want to be able to keep it calm. And so that helps with bad beats. That helps with focus. That helps with intensity and concentration and endurance. All of these things, because poker it takes a toll. I mean, as you know, I'm sure, on your mind. You play 12 hours of poker in a day and you're exhausted physically. You're exhausted. So 100%. You go back to the hotel room or back to the house and you're trying to, go to sleep and you're drained, but you can't because now poker's going through your mind. So it's a fine balance of just trying to calm the mind and focus the mind and really be locked in. And like you said, in league, I maybe should take it more seriously than I do. And I do take it serious, don't get me wrong, but I do, allow myself to drink. I do not do that in any other format. 98% of the time, I would say. Occasionally I'll have like a beer at the beer level or which is, the last level of the night before we bag kind of thing. But I like to maintain a focus. I mean, because I'm out there, people are trying to take my money and I'm trying to take theirs, and everybody's serious and everybody is for real. No matter if they're goofing off or serious, they're seriously trying to take my money. So I want to be as locked in as possible.
I think drinking can be used as a tool, but as long as there's that fine line between drunk and buzzed. If you're buzzed, you can play still your A game, and you probably can pull the trigger in spots that you wouldn't pull if you're sober. But being drunk, liquid courage, exactly. But if you're drunk, you might get sloppy and just like torch the chips. By the way, let's tell the audience that you're an athlete. You have an athletic background. You were you were a D1 volleyball player.
I considered going D1. I never made it past. I played club at Clemson, which is on the East Coast. A good club team is about as good. There's, I think, or at least 20 years ago when I played, there was Ohio State and Penn State, I think, were the only two D1 volleyball, men's volleyball on the East Coast. There's a lot of D2 and D3 schools that have men's volleyball on the East Coast. But so I was at Clemson, played all 4 years there, made all conference a couple times, was a middle blocker. That was my main sport in college. Coming up through high school, played a little basketball, played baseball up through middle school, ran a lot. So just athletic background, really enjoy the competition, which, kind of translates into poker. That's why I kind of really enjoy that. But considered transferring to Hawaii and Pepperdine out on the West Coast, and was in the midst of putting like a videotape, that's how long ago it was, together to send out to the coaches, and then ended up tearing up my shoulder pretty bad and kind of got pretty bummed about that. Got a little depressed, a little injured.
In game?
Yeah, I was playing in the summer beach volleyball and playing with it started raining and was playing with a wet ball, and it took up a lot of the water and got a little too heavy, and I kind of caught it back here, and I felt here and here, and never could rehab it correctly. Of course, I was in a club. I didn't have like a strength and conditioning coach, and didn't really have.
You had surgery done on it?
I didn't have any surgery. I had a few cortisone shots, a little physical therapy rehab, but never really.
It wasn't a full tear, just.
No, I actually looked at it again most recently, probably about 6 months ago, and I've got like 3 or 4 tiny little tears in the rotator cuff, and did some more rehab on it, and it's still, I still play to this day. I get out there and I'll mix it up with the kids, and still can jump. Not as high as I used to, but but can still get it done. Can still move around the sand volleyball court pretty well. I don't play indoor anymore because the diving around on a hard court at 40. I won't say how old.
I would love to go out there. Maybe we get our boy Andre. Andre plays beach volleyball. He posts sometimes on Sundays. He's got a little group that he goes out. I would love to go out and play. I used to play volleyball back in the day, never at your level, but I played all kinds of sports, basketball, volleyball, anything with the ball. I'm good, tennis. But I would love to go out there and get some sun. And
absolutely. It's a great diving around in the sand. It's a nice, getting some sun, getting some exfoliation from the sand, and it's a full body workout. The stop, the go, the leaping, it's just
walking on sand. You know how they say walking on sand just recharges your whole body. I can't describe the feeling. It's like an antidepressant. Once your feet touch sand, it's pretty sick.
It really is. It's a plus. If you're on the sand, you're most likely right next to the water, and so it's a beautiful thing for sure.
Gary Brecka, by the way, he recommends every day in the morning to get out there, see the sun, and go bare feet just to recharge the body. Yeah.
Recharge the soul even.
It does recharge your soul, especially we're inside, for hours on end playing poker.
Absolutely. Locked in a dungeon playing cards for sure. But now my main sport is golf. I don't have to leave the ground. I don't have to exert myself too much. And golf is it's a very rewarding / frustrating endeavor as well. Very similar to poker.
How about the swing? Does the swing hurt your shoulder?
No. In golf, you turn this way, so it's my left shoulder, and then you come underneath. The volleyball, it comes you come completely over the top, and so that's where it kind of starts hurting. Is when I go completely over the top with the swing. The golf swing, no, much better, much easier to deal with. But golf is a mental challenge as well, and I find a lot of parallels between golf and poker, and I think that one of the best lessons golf has ever told me that applies to life and also poker is, what's the most important shot in golf? It's the next one, right? So what's the most important hand in poker? It's the next one, because we can't live back here dwelling on, did I make a mistake? We can go back and study that later. We can review that later. I can go work on my, I drove one in the woods. I can go work on my driver later. The most important thing is I'm like on eyes forward, eyes and mind forward, because it's
so much easier said than done. Like if you're doing the preparation, like you said, the cardio in the morning, the coffee, your routine, and showing up with a good mental state, you can sustain, bad beats and stuff and not letting it affect you. Like me playing at TGT, that main event, that's how dialed in I was. I slept.
Congratulations, by the way. I saw you. Deep run and big bounty. Yeah,
thank you. I was dialed in. I went to bed at like midnight, which for me, bed is like 3-4 a.m. I've always been like this, a night owl.
Yeah.
So I went to bed at like midnight, woke up early, did cardio. I have a Peloton in the apartment. I did like 25 minutes on the Peloton, did my morning routine. I was so dialed in game. And the most important thing, I think, is you ask yourself that question I sometimes get caught off guard. I ask myself question, am I happy? Do I want to be here? Because sometimes I don't want to be there. Like something's irritates me, and I just want to get out. So I
Yeah.
make sure the whole tournament I want it to be present, and that's a big factor. You don't want to be sitting there and irritated. When that happens, I bust. I self-destruct. But when I'm dialed in, there's good luck busting me, unless like a big cooler happens. That's the only way I'm gonna bust. So I was in that mental, like yesterday at Derby, I wasn't there. I made all kinds of mistakes because I wasn't in that state. And when I make a deep run,
so important.
It takes like a couple days to recover from that deep run. And you know how you said when the brain is tired, you go to the hotel and you're still like wired, you can't sleep.
Yeah,
that's exactly the case with me. Let's talk a little bit about live reads versus game theory. I know you're the most studied guy from. I mean, you mentioned all the content, so you probably watched all the content between Raise Your Edge, Upswing, Daniel Devoris, Faraz Jaka.
Yeah.
So you've seen it all, the good, the bad. How much do you rely on live reads versus game theory?
I would say 90% is theory and adjusting exploitatively for the player type and adjusting versus what I've seen from them prior. Now, I do observe players as they play. I'm always watching what they're doing. And if I pick up on something, I will definitely use that later. I would say the main, is his carotid artery beating? Does that mean he's strong or he's weak? It takes 2 or 3 times. Sometimes they get excited when they have the nuts. Sometimes they get excited when they're bluffing. Sometimes they do both. So that might be a tell that's not viable. It might not be important. So I risk deviating. I tend not to deviate unless it's a lockdown tell. Main tells I see are bet sizing, timing tells. Now those are pretty, if somebody instantly check raises you without thinking about it, and they're not an absolute studied crusher who's most likely going to balance his timing anyway, it's almost always nutted. They're going to think about a bluff. They're going to think about thin value. They're going to think about things that aren't the absolute nuts. When they check raise or they raise you in a 3-bet pot quickly, fold. Just fold. You're behind. Trust me, unless you can beat the nuts, But timing tells, bet sizing tells is another thing in live poker that, people these days are getting better for sure. But bet sizing almost always tells us how strong they are. They don't balance their bet sizing. So, and plus we're getting better odds to call when it's a small bet. So I'm going to look them up more often anyway. But bet sizing, timing, hardly ever do I rely on physical tells because they can be just so inconsistent and, be like, oh, this guy was weak when he did this earlier and now he's doing it again. He must be weak. I call and he just turns over the nuts. And I'm just like, why did I not think about it? Why did I not range him? Why did I not go through the process of what are his bluffs? Do I block his bluffs? Do I unblock his value? All these things that you have to think about to play a correct game. And I'm just like letting something override it physically. It's just not a thing anymore, I don't think. I mean, it is to a certain extent. I mean, some people, but end of the day, I tend to just follow my intuition. After all the theory, all the sizing tells, all the, am I blocking his strong hands? Am I unblocking his weak hands? All these things that we can sit there and break down while we're in the tank. At the end of the day, if my gut is telling me to do something, I'm going to have to find a pretty good reason not to follow it at the end of the day.
Because normally a combination of all these things that you mentioned. It's a combination of theory in the beginning. It's a combination of live reads and intuition all combined. I have one incident, like yesterday at Derby. I opened guy 3-bets. I open eights. He 3-bets. I call. Flop is 7-7 deuce. He bets third. He's not studied.
Yeah.
When guy right away in my mind, I'm like, okay, this guy is not studied. He doesn't have third pot bets with overpairs.
Right. He wants to leverage his overpair advantage as a 3-better.
I check raise flop. He snap folded. Like, just because I know he's not studied, I'm denying equity from overs. Ace king, ace queen. 3-bet fold. At TGT, in the main, a guy 3-bet I called with nines. Flop comes like 5 deuce deuce. He was so nervous and his hand is shaking. I almost was nervous for him. I mean, the guy was almost having a heart attack, and I like to keep them marinating in that state for a little bit just to torture them.
Sure. Yeah, it's an advantage.
I didn't know how to interpret this. I'm like, because I don't have baseline on him. I don't know what he's capable of. Like, sometimes a little story, a backstory on someone might make me take this route or that route. Take an aggressive line or a passive line just based on their story. And I'll tell you another example. But anyway, he was so nervous. I didn't know how to interpret it. I'm like, is this guy like happy nervous that he has a huge hand? He's shaking. His hand is shaking like he has Parkinson's. So I folded. I had nines. I folded. And then the guy next to me said he 3-bet earlier and he showed deuce 3 off. I'm like, damn, I wish I had that information earlier because I would have called off with nines, put my foot down and just called.
Yeah, if he's over 3-bet bluffing, then we're just never folding.
I mean, if he's 3-betting deuce 3 off, so obviously the guy's not studied and he's just like flopping around, just like splashing around, not knowing what's going on.
Field player.
Exactly, field player.
He feels like 3-betting you because he doesn't like you. Like
another story is Kauser, the guy that won TGT. He was doing all kinds of unorthodox stuff at Showdown. Like he 3-bet on a 10 high board with queen 7 off, no equity whatsoever. He 3-bet muscles, John, and then he turns the queen, value bets because it was 3-way pot. But anyway, at Showdown, the check raise on the flop didn't make any sense. He did it with no equity. I didn't know where to put that guy. Like, is he a genius or is he an idiot? I didn't know where to put him. But then I found out the next day that he's a high stakes PLO crusher. I'm like, damn, I wish I had that information before. So if he's a high stakes PLO, he's going to be comfortable post flop. And he was comfortable post flop, but doing things that are very unorthodox. I would know.
Sounds like getting way out of line. Sounds like it.
Way out of line. And he was like, he was never folding to C bets, no matter what you size. So he would continue post flop.
Great. So
and he had all
with our value.
He was somebody basically that's not balanced, not studied, but you're not going to scare him post flop. So you need to value bet more and bluff less, basically. That's the live adjustment I would make.
And value bet bigger, way bigger. We can always find that inflection point as to where it starts to hurt them. You know, like if they're going to call pot, if they're going to float me on a pot size bet, then I'm going to go pot and a half next time. You know, if they're gonna, if they're gonna overfold to pot, then I'm gonna go with my value hands. I'm gonna go B60. So it's just it's a game of limited information, and the more information we can pick up and learn how to play, the more we're gonna get paid. And
I got the valuable information a day late. I got it the next day. Ross Corliss, shout out to the legend Ross. He told me, he's like, yeah, he was at Derby yesterday. He was funny as fuck. He's like, Kauser is a high stakes PLO he plays at TGT, the big game. Do you prefer a serious table or loud and talkative? Kind of like when Clive gets out of line in the league.
I think it really depends on at league or a relaxed low stake buy-in. I enjoy mucking it up and joking around and anything that starts to get a little serious, maybe 400 or 500 and above. I don't mind people talking and chatting and having a good time. And sometimes I'll engage with that, but I do find myself losing focus if I start chatting it up too much and not paying attention to showdowns and not paying attention to bet sizings and all the important stuff that we need to be watching. So I guess my answer would be it just depends, you know, and it's gonna cause me to put my headphones in and try to ignore it sometimes, and then sometimes I'm right in the middle of the mix, laughing and joking, and
sometimes you feel out of place. Like yesterday, I play my best game when I'm like dialed in, music on, not talking to anybody, because there's so much information to pick up. I'm watching the whole thing. Yesterday, I felt out of place because I was getting too serious, and the whole table was like chatty, relaxed. Like these guys have jobs and they're there to fuck around and have a good time.
A hobby for them, for sure.
Yes. So sometimes you feel out of place if you're too serious, but you know what? That shouldn't bother you. You should do.
End of the day, you're there to make money. And that's what you're gonna do.
100%. And I didn't like that I'm feeling like that. I didn't like that I'm feeling too like. Do whatever works for you. Do that.
Absolutely.
Don't care about what other people think of you, because at the end of the day, it's eat or be eaten at the table.
That's what it boils down to. And I mentioned it in a different way earlier. You know, we're trying to take their money and they're trying to take ours at the end of the day. And so, don't mess with my money. So there's a certain seriousness that needs to be brought, no matter if I'm joking while I'm being serious too. You know, if I am joking around, you can better believe that I'm doing my best to exploit you too. So it's,
and sometimes it's apparent, like you see it in cash games when everybody's nice to the fish. They want to buy them drinks and they laugh at their jokes. That the jokes aren't funny at all. It's like too much. Like, bro, relax. It's really obvious what you're trying to do. To butter up.
You want them to be happy and stay there and to keep donating. I mean, that's
exactly.
That's part of the game too. In the cash game, that's definitely part of the game too. Though you're not going to make as much money against a table full of regs as you will with 4 or 5 spots at the table. So keep the spots there and keep them happy. I mean, that's a fine balance between absolutely being ruthless and just fleecing the fish and trying to keep them happy and keep them there. Same thing with tournaments too, but I feel like tournaments, they're going to keep coming back. And that's why a lot of the fish like to play tournaments, because they can't lose 10K unless they're playing a 10K buy-in or buying in twice of a 5K or whatever. They can't lose 10K like they can at a 2-5 or a 5-10 game in one night. You know, they can come in with 2K and blast 4 bullets at a 500 and they're getting fleeced, but $500 at a time. It's not, and that gives them a few hours worth of play. So I think that's really going to have to, you'll see that's why you don't have to quite be as jovial and as accommodating with the fish in tournaments, because they're going to keep coming back. It's an easier way.
Do you know who KNN is? KNN 3173. KNN, identify yourself. It's business.
I do not know who that.
And you can occasionally
agree with that.
What's
you're there
that?
to get a job done, right? Got to put on your work boots.
Yeah, you're there to get the job done. Is this Chad? I don't know if it's because Chad said he's gonna log on. Oh, he's the machine. This is the machine. Okay, shout out to the machine. The machine took down the TGT was dialed in, man. Everybody was talking at the final table. Not talking like fucking around, but they were like relaxed. The machine didn't say a word. He was dialed in for sure. Chad Kitchen.
Oh, Chad Kitchen. Yeah. He brings an intense. I've played with him quite a few times. He brings an intense focus to the game for sure.
He does. Definitely a fierce competitor for sure.
Absolutely.
Do you try to intimidate players into not bluffing you? If you know somebody, they 3-bet you the first time, okay, you think they have it. The second time, the third time, do you try, even if you have a hand that's 100% in your mind that you're folding, do you try to like stare them down? Anything you do?
I try when I'm bringing my A game, and I used to do it a little bit more. I would wear sunglasses. I would really lock in and stare at people. I don't tend to do that too much anymore. I think that I bring an overall intensity to my game when I'm focused, which is most of the time, that I don't feel like I need to sway an individual player one way or the other. I know that regs that are going to 3-bet wide and 3-bet light are going to do it no matter what I'm doing. So why am I going to waste my energy trying to mentally manipulate them into doing something else? I'm going to just react to their sizing, their positioning, if I've seen them get out of line recently. And let's be honest, if you're targeting me, there's better trees to bark up than me. I'm going to come after you too. So, most likely they're going to have a hand. I wouldn't consider myself a target. So I'm not going to try to prevent them from targeting me by being staring them down or whatever. Now, if I am in the middle of a hand and I am in an intense hand, there is going to be some intensity in my demeanor almost always. I'm going to be.
There is intensity in your demeanor. That's what I first noticed in your game when we first. That was about a year ago when I noticed you. We were playing a Hard Rock. I think it was like a Saturday triple 30, and I'm like, wow, this guy, he brings intensity to the table. Your whole demeanor, you can tell the ones that are dialed in, and that's another factor in the whole game. Besides knowing theory and knowing poker, the demeanor at the table is a whole different ball game. It's just tough to play against players that are dialed in than somebody just like eating a sandwich, like Negrano said.
Right, all willy-nilly or whatever he says. Yeah. No, I know that it's there's a lot of thinking going on too. I'm a very thinking player. So, part of the intensity is this furrowed brow, and like I'm thinking like, what's this range here? Like, how is he, is he bluffing? How is he constructing his bluffing range? He just check raised me. Is he creating a robust check raise range, or is he just check raising the nuts here and the occasional bluff? Like so everything that's going on, there's 1,000 different things going on in my head at once. And that can kind of be difficult to kind of rein back and get the top line, most important things out of it, because, overthinking, I guess you can call it, you get into these spots where you're overthinking spots and you're leveling yourself a little bit, and having heuristics and being able to draw yourself back to the most important things. Is this player capable? Well, first off, who am I up against? Is this player capable? Are they going to have a constructed bluffing range, or is it just going to be random because they think I'm weak?
What's a capable player to you? Like in game, let's say you're playing. What are the attributes you're looking for in a player that you're like, okay, this guy is capable? Is it?
Well, I mean, are they opening a good range pre-flop from all positions at all stack sizes? If I see you opening 8-7 suited off 20 from under the gun, I'm just like, okay, this guy's capable of being a bad player. But if he's opening, and 3-betting the correct range, does he have a balanced 3-bet? Is he 3-betting 6% early versus early, which almost nobody does? And then, is he 3-betting 13% small blind versus button open, which almost nobody does? So these are, but if I do see people start 3-betting, 50 deep, and we're 3-betting our Jack 10 suited small blind versus a button open, okay, now I know you're capable, and you've got a well-balanced, well-constructed 3-betting range, and you know what you're doing, right? Are you check raising, defending the big blind at an appropriate percentage, whether it be 15% versus late or more even?
How are you fighting back when you know somebody's capable and they're 3-betting a balanced 3-bet range? Are you continuing wider, or?
Yeah, well, I'm going to continue appropriately. I'm going to fold appropriately, and then I'm going to start working in 4-bet bluffs into my range, because in GTO there's a ton of 4-bet bluffs in late position versus late position. Do I need that when the guy's 3-betting 8% button versus cutoff when he should be 3-betting 12% button versus cutoff? Probably not, because he's just too value heavy, right? So I'm just going to continue my big offsuit hands and my suited hands that are profitable to continue in these late positions. So I don't tend to let my ego get in the way and start swinging, out there swinging dicks and trying to, outplay somebody by expanding my range too wide. especially out of position, because we're not going to realize our equity enough. So I'm going to continue.
You said it right about them 3-betting, like very narrow range. So I mean that here live versus population, you don't see light 3-bets.
No.
Or ever 4-bets. 4-bets are like nuts. Kings, aces, right. That's it. Maybe queen, maybe queen sometimes, ace king sometimes, but that's it.
Right.
When Becker went to Vegas, he's like, damn, he's like, at the win, people have 4-bet bluffs all the time. Like they're 4-bet light. So you need to adjust. So he's 5-betting light. So, but if somebody 4-bets you at TGT, I mean, it's aces every time. And 100%. They 4-bet huge. And then they show it too after the fact.
Yeah. Because they want that respect. Like we didn't already know that it's kings plus.
I don't even look when they show it because I know what it is. Like I don't even like, or I go like, I'm sarcastic, like, whoa, surprise, like we know what you have. Like, might as well play face up. By the way,
there's very few capable players in any pool to be under a 1K buy-in live, 1K and under. You'll know who they are pretty quickly. Even if I go to Chicago or someplace I've never played before, I mean, like we're going to talk about how they handle their chips, how their demeanor is at the table, how many times did they 3-bet in the last hour, what did they show down,
how they dress. If somebody's like well put together and they have a backpack and everything is like clean and neat. And everything is, you can tell from just before they even sit at the table. When somebody's like all put together, top to bottom, you know how they're going to play. And if somebody comes in with a beard that's not like well shaved or cleaned up, and the hairs, they got dandruff on their shirt or like hair from the dog or whatever, it's like messy. They're going to be playing messy. And if somebody's all put together, top to bottom, they're going to be playing, a solid game.
In a game of limited information, these stereotypes do clue us in to limited information very quickly, for sure.
Yeah.
There's always going to be exceptions to the rules, but you're exactly right about your observations. I would completely agree with that.
Every once in a while, you see somebody put together and they give you a completely different. Like it happened a few days ago at Hard Rock. Somebody was, young. They're like 27, 28, well put together, backpack. I'm like, okay, this guy's a crusher. He showed a completely different side. I'm like, okay.
He just likes to look to play the part. Yeah.
He did play the part, but he didn't actually. He wasn't a good player at all. He was
a poser. That's what we call it.
It was his first tournament, actually. It was his first tournament. We made a final. He made a final table, and he was texting. His buddy had a piece of him. So he had all the attributes of a solid player, but he was not solid. He was very passive, only playing the nuts. I mean, that final table, the shit that I've seen, I talked about it in the last podcast. The average stack was like below 20 bigs in a really good structure. It was a single day 50K, but they knit it up so bad. The shoves were only aces. Like people would have 7, 8 bigs shove aces, like not even ace king or like anything else. It was super tight. They were folding ace king to 3-bets. I mean, I've seen some. Yeah. Who's your dad? Said, hey, now I might let my beard go from time to time. LOL. I think I asked who's your dad, and he said it last time. I had another question in mind. Okay, since we're talking about solid players here locally, name 3 guys that give you a hard time at the table and you think they're solid.
3 guys that give me a hard time at the table and that I think are solid. I mean, I can name a few. Yourself, Gabe, Ryan. We were speaking about Ryan earlier.
We have a hand to discuss with Ryan. The guys from the GTO lab were giving him shit, calling him, saying he's scared and he needs CPR. I sent him a message of that video. We'll play it later. But
Gabe, that's the going into live tells that it could be strength, it could be weakness, and in that case, it turned out it was strength, and he was just at a final table that was a big final table for him, and knew that he was about to put a lot of money in the pot, and got excited. Like that's sometimes the body just does that. But
I don't think he was nervous. His demeanor is the demeanor I'm used to, Ryan. Like,
yeah,
whether it's a $200 buy-in or a $1,000 buy-in, that's his demeanor. He's got an open mouth. He opens his mouth.
Yeah, he does do the open mouth. Yeah,
and he's very intense. He's got that intense look, and he looks like he's up to no good. Like if we're on the street, you think the fight is gonna go on. Like we're gonna throw hands. That's that look.
Yeah.
So
that
you
focus.
know something bad is gonna happen at the table. I don't think he was nervous. The guys called him. They said he has a family, and I'll play the video in a little bit. But
all right,
so Gabe definitely brings intensity to the table. You can see it; it's palpable, and he worked on it over. He wasn't like this because the first year I played with Gabe, it was WSOP. I think 2022. It was my first. It was my second time in Vegas, and he wasn't having like a really good time. But this is when he was developing his art, basically at that intensity that he brings. The year later, that's when he started crushing, and that intensity got like 10 times even better. So Gabe, Ryan, that's 2. Who's the third that comes to mind?
Lisi. What is it?
Lisi is a crusher for sure.
Matt
and
Lisi.
Yeah, he moved to Vegas, right?
I heard he had moved. I wasn't 100% sure on that, but I had heard through the grapevine he moved. But good.
You know what? I thought the same thing. Good. Less crushers in Tampa.
Yeah, exactly. Lisi definitely would bring the A game, and he'll put you in some spots for sure. But there's your good 3, and yourself, of course. Like I said, you definitely, like you said earlier, you are always intense. Music on, hat down, focus. So yeah, don't sell yourself short at all because you bring in intensity.
I have versions. I have like 3 versions of myself. When I bring the A game, I know I'm like very hard to beat. It's not always easy to bring that state. Things have to be lined up. I have a routine before the session, whether it's sleep, supplements. There's a routine before the session. When I bring that A game, that good things happen at the table. Your dad said I came up to you at the Rock, and then you called my exact hand when I hit a set of 3s, then hit a set of 3s again shortly after, if that rings a bell. Set of 3s? Oh, I think the board was like Broadway. It was like King Jack 3, and I folded top 2, and he had set of 3s. I think that's him.
Okay.
Sunday Bankroll Builder. I'm not sure who you are, your dad. Oh, Machine said Carl is too modest. In this game, you got to be modest. You can never be too big for this game. Jen Frankenstein. Shout out to Jen. She's another crusher. She should come on the podcast. I don't know if you've been following. She had a couple of finals. She won the ladies event in the Irish Poker Open. You know who Jen Frankenstein is?
I don't know if I do. I'm terrible with names though, so you'll have to. I mean, it took all I could do to come up with three names when I'm on the spot. But no, I don't know Jen.
It turned sexist. She said, "What's the name? What's with the name 3 guys? Women play poker too, boys." Oh, well said.
Absolutely.
Tasha.
I mean,
let's name.
What's the Asian lady's name that won the main last Hard Rock main? She's like a PLO player, cash game player.
Trey? Asian lady?
Yeah, she's an Asian lady, younger Asian lady, PLO crusher apparently there, and then she always plays the big tournament events. She won the last. She beat. She knocked Ken. Oh, Ken. There's another name for you. Ken's unorthodox, but he'll put you in some spots for sure. But she's
Ken is a crusher. I always say
she knocked him out in like 9th or 10th, and then went on to win it, and just like absolutely steamrolled the final table. I heard. So
she's not a regular in Tampa, right? She's a regular down south.
No, I think she's a regular cash game at the PLO cash game player at the Hard Rock.
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about. Yes, she won the main in Tampa. Yeah.
Main in Tampa.
Last name, her name is not easy, but I know exactly who you're talking about. Yes, she's I play with her a few times. She's definitely fearless at the table, and she pulls the trigger. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I got into a huge hand with her. Gin optional. Absolutely, it's optional for sure.
It is optional.
No, I got into a huge hand with her at like the. This is like one of my most recent stings. I got into a huge hand with her. I came to the table with like 120 bigs at like 3K big blinds on day one, so like massive stack, and she had just a little bit less than me, and ended up defending big blind with deuces versus her under the gun open, and the flop was. It's escaping me now, but it was like I want to say 10-8 deuce, 2 clubs. I check raise about 4x over her like standard B40, B33, something like that. I check raise 4x. The turn is
10-8-3. That tells you right there that she's not too studied.
Yeah, she should be using larger sizing for sure.
Larger sizes, yeah. Well said. People use 33 now, B33 on all boards. Like
yeah, they just think that this is a range bet. I'm early position, but they don't know the nuances of the fact that like when we have an overpair advantage and we have and they have a draw heavy board, we want to start charging their entire range, and we want to use a larger size for that because our range from under the gun is much more robust and strong than a defending range. And so I'm gonna have a lot of 10x I'm not folding, a lot of 8x, a lot of jack 9, 9, 7, all these hands, gut shots, flush draws, and B33 just doesn't put any pressure on my range. So we want to use a big sizing there. I would say B66, if not bigger.
Right. 10-8, 9-10, those
sure. Anytime there's multiple straight draws and flush draws. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, so 10-8 deuce. I have deuces. I check raise pretty large. She continues. Turn brings in a second flush draw, and it's another.
In her mind, when you check raise that board, like what do you think is going through her mind on a 10-8-3 rainbow board, right? No flush draw?
No, there's a flush draw. Yeah, flush draw.
Sure. Okay, that makes your raise more sensible. It makes sense because you could have 9 of heart, you can have queen 9 of heart, queen 7 of heart, all the heart combinations that could check raise light that you don't have a made hand. I like it. Yeah. Well, what are you doing if it's rainbow? Are you just calling, or are you still clicking it back?
With bottom set, I'm gonna check raise almost pure on most board textures because we have value targets, right? We have all the overpairs. We have all 10x, all ace 8, king 8, all the straight draws, especially on those type boards.
Don't you hate when
my value?
Sorry,
my value raise on these is going to be sets, 2 pair, which I don't have really that many 2 pair. I don't defend 8 deuce off versus under the gun. I don't defend 10 deuce off under the gun. So I only have 10-8 off, which is the majority of my offsuit check raises, and then some gut shots with like the backdoor, whatever the flush draw is, like say ace of clubs 8. Ace of clubs 9, if that's the flush draw, stuff like that would be some good bluff raises there. Maybe ace 3 with the backdoor flush draw, like stuff that can make a wheel. But then it's going to depend on how many check raises I have for value as to how I'm balancing that with my check raise bluffs. But in this case, I just have pure value, and I have a lot of value targets. So I'm check raising bottoms. Occasionally, I'll slow play top set. Because all her 10x, if I've got a set of 10s here, which I will against under the gun, I'm not 3-betting 10s out of the big blind almost ever, versus under the gun at least. So all her ace 10, king 10, queen 10, jack 10, there's very few combos of those now because I have 2 and there's 1 on the board, so there's very few combos of 10x. So I'll slow play that more often than I will middle or bottom set. But so anyway, I check raise, and the turn brings in a second flush draw. It's a pretty inconsequential card. It's like a 3. But now we have 2 flush draws and like a bunch of straight draws still. And her range is pretty concentrated around this board once I check raise, right? And value. And she's not folding over pairs to a single bet. She's not folding these combo draws. She's not folding.
No, she's getting stacked with over pairs for sure.
Right. So but we're about 100 bigs deep to start the hand. So in order to get stacks in, I got to bet big. So I like 1.5x pot the turn, and she calls. And so now it's like, okay, we're getting it in.
How do you narrow down
all rivers?
How do you narrow down her range when she calls flop call turn on a 10-8 3 deuce?
Once she calls 1.5x pot on the turn, she has hands like nut flush draws with gut shots to a straight. Other sets, which it's cool.
Are alarm bells going off that she could have tens, or we would hear it from tens and eights?
I think she's a good enough player that she may slow play tens. On this board, though, once I 1.5 exit, I look like I have a hand that's not going to fold. She might just jam rather than letting a flush come in, an action killing river. So probably I'm discounting the fact that she has tens a little bit, but she has a lot of overpairs still too. Aces, kings, queens, jacks with club block or unblocking clubs or whatever the flush draws are. She's probably going to continue pure all her overpairs anyway. Blockers don't really matter too much there. So yeah, I mean, once she calls the 1.5x bet on the turn, I mean, I know that we're tangoing here. Like we're about to put a lot of money in the pot.
What's the plan on the river if a flush completes? Are you slowing down or are you just going for it?
I mean, I have like 70% pot or 80% pot left. So because I bet so big on the turn, I'm fairly committed. And I know that she's going to have bluffs, so I'm either going to check call or just bet all in. I mean, I'm not going to check fold here because she could have ace 10 with the ace of clubs. She can have, aces with the ace of clubs type hands that she's going to turn into a bluff possibly.
Ace 10 is not going to continue because you're basically saying I have 2 pair plus. You're not doing that with like just a 10, naked 10. You're doing it with 2 pair plus. Like you said, you don't have that many. You have 10-8 suited, 10-8 off. You have some 8 deuce and 10 deuce suited.
I have like Jack 9 suited. I have like Queen Jack suited. I have some of these nut combo draws that are going to play the same way. So
we're talking about the value. The made hands are 2 pairs, which you have some, and the draws and the bluffs and the semi bluffs are insane list. Jack 9 suited, Queen Jack suited, Queen 7, Ace X of hearts, some backdoors, Ace King of hearts. It's a long list for sure.
Absolutely. And then
semi bluffs versus value, or the semi bluffs are way more than the value. But anyway.
Yeah, well, then that would be being unbalanced, and that's where we have to watch ourselves. If we're over bluffing, that's pretty easy to exploit if we figure that out. So I try not to bet too many combo draws here. It's only going to be like the Jack 9 with the flush draw, even better the backdoor flush draw, right? I'm going to have some give ups. So I would say once I B150 on the turn, I have 12 or so combos of 10-8 off, 10-8 period, suited or off. I have 3 combos of deuces, 3 combos of 8s, 3 combos of 10s. And so looking at 20 combos of value, pretty much, something like that. So I can probably, once I B150, I can have about that many bluffs.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't think I can really be over bluffing here. I'd have to be turning I don't remember what the turn was exactly. It was a pretty low card. So I would have to continue with all the backdoor flush draws that I check raised as a bluff on the flop, plus all my flush draws. But see, also, I don't really want to get jammed on once I bet turn with a flush draw, right? Because then I'm might not realize my equity. It's kind of a nightmare.
See, that's the thing I was going to say. When people click it back on the flop, some people can't stop. mostly amateurs. They click the button on the flop, and if a scare card comes on the turn, or if they're bluffing, they're just going with it. I see it all the time. They'll be semi bluffing. They break the turn, they continue, and they put the stack in on the river as bluff, 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 and they put like 100-something blinds in the pot. And like some people like Ken O'Donnell, for example, he can bluff flop and just slow down on the turn. That takes like a really good player to do that, to be capable of. But anyway, so check raise flop, turn doesn't complete a straight or a flush, you fire again, and now you have 70% pot on the river. What happened on the river?
River was a 9, offsuit 9. So not much got there, and I pile, and she just has queen jack of clubs for like the stone nuts. And I was just like, oh my God. I mean, but she's continuing with the combo draw on the turn. It's fine. Like it's just what it is. You know, and I was just like, just devastated, because I went from 120 bigs at the 3K level in the main to like 20. And then I ended up I limped into the money. I think we cashed it like 5K big blind, or sorry, 6K big blind. But yeah, that was my worst reason. And she went on to win the tournament. So, you know, it's funny how that you see sometimes when you play a huge hand against somebody that's capable, how they end up going on a deep run after that. But good for her. She's an excellent player. She'll put you to the test. And then her and TJ Miles were going back and forth, just getting out of line against each other. It was great. It was good to watch. This is after she crippled me, so I couldn't really get in the mix too much. But
there's another crusher too. You know what? Your dad said just catch him back up, Carl. You play 6th in the bankroll builder, right behind Jen in 5th. I remember that final table, and I remember having that discussion with your dad. And I said your handle is your dad on YouTube, but I can't put the handle to the face right now. I can't remember, but I know we had that discussion at the table. He said it was over a month ago. I remember that final table. You know what? I can look up Hendemob and we can look up his name. You know what? Let's look up that mystery hand. We have a mystery hand set up here from the Triton. They were down to 3 players. ICM is in play.
Sure.
Let me share the screen here real quick.
Okay.
If you're a man who makes at least 150K,
I gotta excuse the commercials.
Okay, I think it is, Henry.
I think it's time for a mystery hand, my man.
Yeah, 4x from Tallarine. Throws away some of the more marginal, dusty hands, especially off of 40 big blinds or so.
Now, I have to ask, Randy, what?
I apologize. That's not the hand. Stand by. It's between Jiao Vieira. That's the hand right there.
There we go.
And Konikov. Down to 3 players.
Oh my God, not
Naza.
Give him something to work with. Now, what Jiao Vieira is working with is something we're going to have to...
Jiao's one of my favorites. He's an absolute stone cold crusher.
Is upon us once more.
By the way, just to set it up, Jiao is a way out of line. He's Brazilian, and you know Brazilians, they have it in their blood. They get way out of line. And another player that comes to mind is what's his name? He's from Orlando, crushes everything.
Rafael?
Yes, Rafael Reese.
Reese is a good dude.
Very tough to play against. So Jiao is the same, from the same pedigree as Rafa. But let's watch the hand. It's dealer, button versus big blind. Ponikov opens ace-9, which is standard. They both have 45-ish big blind, so they're deep for the final 3. Open, defend, and we don't know. Jiao has the mystery hand, but let's see what happens post flop.
Defended against. Ponikovs flops cleanly, top pair.
Supposed to hear from the better ace-x usually pre-flop.
Yeah, I would
usually.
3-handed.
And again, it's not unreasonable.
Some ace-10, ace-jack in there.
Say that again.
I said, yeah, they're saying that they would hear from the better ace x pre-flop. So ace 9 is almost always the nuts here, nut ace, but not necessarily, because we're not trying to get stacks in with the other guy being so short. We're not trying to get the stacks in with ace 10, ace jack. So he can occasionally have ace 10, ace jack here is what I was thinking.
Good point. By the way, this is the third guy, and he looks short right here. We noticed this.
Yeah.
You noticed this earlier.
Yeah.
So
I don't
here would be
think
ICM
that,
suicide before the short stack. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
100%. No, I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, risk premium is definitely in
Through the
play.
roof.
By the way, solver on ace deuce 5 want to bet small, and this is exactly what Panikov does. He bets third. Pot was like 1.3, I think. He bets 400K. So let's see how Jiao fights back.
And as strong as even like ace jack, to be honest.
Call. Well, it looks like Vieira is going to make the call. So another 800,000 into the middle, just shy of 2.2. Another spade rolling off now.
Most likely, Ponikovs will be willing to check here with the 9 of spades.
And there it is. 2 checks, running 6s. Don't expect a 6 to be involved all that often. Obviously, there could have been some peels with a straight draw. I'm just not sure how incentivized Vieira would be to defend with the 6Xs of the war.
As far as body language, are you getting any reads if he's stronger or not here?
No,
Like what's
not from Jiao? No, Jiao is just too. I love his demeanor. It's intense, but it's also kind of like this nonchalant. I've been here before. I'm going to play correctly. You're going to deal with it. it's a great demeanor.
Kind of like your demeanor. Reminds me of your demeanor a little bit. Yeah, I noticed when you're at the table, you're composed, but you don't hide much. Like you don't hide your face, no glasses.
No.
Yeah, you're pretty composed. Well, let's see what he has.
Occasionally, I'll put on the shades, but and pull the hoodie up, but very, very rarely these days.
The hoodie up, is the hoodie hiding anything?
No, it's just kind of more of a. If I'm feeling like the day of, if I'm feeling like a little antisocial, I'm usually very social, and so I don't mind being out there and being seen. But if I'm feeling like a little under the weather or just been grinding for a bunch of days in a row and I don't feel like chatting, it's more of just a kind of a, I'm going to go into my own little world. That's when I'll throw in the earbuds and just kind of.
That's a good point. People don't understand that there's like different versions that you bring to the table. Sometimes you're talkative and in a good mood and happy-go-lucky, and sometimes you don't feel like talking to anyone and you just want to keep to yourself. And there's like
that's usually when the hoodie goes up.
Yes. So the hoodie, is it hiding anything? Hiding your face, your mouth, anything, or no?
Not usually. Occasionally I'll do that too. Like if I'm feeling like I'm deep in a tournament and there's a lot of money starting to get on the line, I'll cover my mouth just because I do have a pretty expressive face. I mean, and it takes a lot of days in a row of just grinding, and I'm deep in a tournament, and now I'm like exhausted, and I don't feel like maintaining a poker face in every aspect of everything. So then I'll kind of cover up just to make sure that I'm not giving much away. But if I'm fresh and sharp, I'm just, read it if you want. I'm not giving much away. I'm focused on what my decisions are, and I don't feel like I give away too much. So, and I've been told that I don't give away too much. But if I'm exhausted, I'm like, I'll start furrowing, and my lips will curl, and so I'll just cover my mouth. That's about the only time I'll cover. And I'll tell you what, the mouth gives away way more than the eyes do, in my opinion. That little slight tick down when something bad happens, or that, just that little click. Gives the world. It really does.
Can tell
the hands too.
Happy, nervous, excited. You can tell. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Let's finish the hand and see what Jiao is going to do on the river.
Out of the big blind. Some of those combos lurk, I suppose.
There's some combos, of course, right? 6-4, 6-3 can definitely be in Vieira's range. But the 6 is a above average card for Ponikovs. A little bit of counterfeit, which is helpful in case somehow Vieira did have like ace-5, ace-deuce, or 5-deuce.
Boy, if he were to lead This could get awkward in a hurry, especially if he comes with something full pot plus.
2.2.
Oh my goodness. You know, he had that look about him, Randy.
He goes for pot.
Yeah.
What's the thought process here when he goes pot?
So I think on bet, check, bet call, check on this board versus big blind, we want to polarize ourselves. Well, first off, my thought process would be, is this opponent capable? And it's Jiao Vieira, so obviously he's
100% capable.
So, and now is this run out good for him? Absolutely. Do we block any of it? Yeah, we do. We block a lot with the 9 of spades. And it's almost better to have a middling spade as opposed to a higher spade, because higher spades are going to 3-bet pre-flop a little bit more often. But after check on the turn, he has spades, he has 6x, he has straights that he slow plays as his value for this size. Is he going to bet?
Straights, do you think he's defending like 3-4 suited? Yes, sometimes.
Sure. I think when it's 3-handed and they're even in chips, even though the other guy is short, we're going to defend almost all of our suited range here, I would think. And so I think he has pretty much all flushes here. And for this sizing, I think he's repping for value 6-5 suited or 6-5. He's not going to have 6-5 off, I wouldn't think. So 6-5 suited.
Yeah, we can dismiss 6-5 off. He has some 6x. He has all the random spades like 7-8 of spades,
7-3 of spades,
all the spades. Queen 3 of spade, King 3 of spade.
Sure.
He has all these hands with like gutter and flush draw that got there.
Yeah, I don't think for B30 or B25 or whatever he continued to on the flop, I don't think he's folding any spades. So he's got 7-2 or 7-3 of spades. He's got 8-3 of spades. Like he's got everything. I think the only ones he would really, and since the other guy's so short, I think his check raising range here on the flop is going to be condensed around value. I doubt he's going to want to check raise his spades and risk getting 3-bet on the flop or even jammed on. So I imagine he's even like his king jack of spades that he chose not to 3-bet pre-flop because of the ICM implications. He's not going to raise those on the flop. His king 3 of spades, he's not going to raise that.
That was the maniac, but he's not stupid. He knows on an ace deuce 5 he shouldn't have that many check raises.
No,
like
not at all.
Board, you shouldn't have that many check raises. Even if you flop straights and stuff, he should take a check call line. Every once in a while you click it back, but in general, you shouldn't have.
I think on wheel boards we have more raises in non-ICM environments, in theory. Now, whether even the crushers are playing that robust of a check raise strategy, it's doubtful, and especially not when the other guy looks like he's got like 10 bigs or maybe 15 bigs and under, because we just don't want to clash. I mean, in ICM, when there's 2 big stacks and 1 tiny stack, there's this kind of push-pull between the 2 big stacks of, it's kind of a gentleman's game. We're going to respect each other because it would be a disaster for us to get stacks in against each other without like the nuts and the second nuts, basically. So,
I think on deuce 5-6 or deuce 3-5, like these boards, we can check raise in Jiao's shoes, even if we're like bluffing or semi-bluffing. 5-6-7, 3-5-6, any board that has the straight already complete on the flop, he can like check raise flop, or he can like check call flop and then lead turn. You can make things happen on a board like that, but on an ace high,
ace high is a little different for sure.
Let's see what happens. Let's see how Panikov is going to react to this lead.
Well, it's definitely going to put him in the blender.
Where are you leaning towards? Are you leaning towards value or bluff?
I think it's after check on the turn on this board, it's pretty easy in Jiao's shoes to overbluff here, I think. And since we have this key 9 of spades blocker, and we've got, I mean, we're pretty high up in our range here too. Like we're going to have some sets. We're not even going to have sets. We're going to have like ace 6. We're going to have a boat, but sets we're going to bet turn. So flushes we're going to bet turn.
The check line on the turn, like Ponakov is saying, I have a hand that has showdown, but it's not strong enough to bet turn. So versus that range, we don't want to go too big. Like Jiao went like monstrous with that bet. He went pot. So like, what are you targeting? Like maybe ace.
Well, he's trying to get him to fold. He's trying to get him to fold an ace. He's trying to. He's going to have some. Jiao is going to have the appropriate amount of bluffs here. So, or more possibly on this line. So I think we're basically at the top of our range here. Like I said, we're not checking flushes on the turn. We're not checking 2 pair plus on the turn.
When you say we as Ponakov?
We as Ponakov, correct.
Okay.
Yeah. We are not checking these hands because we're trying to get value with them. We are basically at the top of our check back range.
You know what?
Turn.
You'll be surprised. I saw a solver line one time that was surprising. It checks back sometimes flushes in that spot. It's not going bet, which is really tricky. You check back turn when you get there. I see amateurs do it sometimes, and it's a good line to take. Yeah.
Okay. I guess we can have some nutted flushes that we want to check back that are not nutted, but like good medium strength that we're not going to be able to get 3 streets in a heavy ICM environment. And we also don't want to, it's more for just having a balanced check back range, right? We're going to have some hands in there that allow us to easily call river.
You know what? Which is a line which is a node that amateurs don't get. They don't get the balance, like balancing back the check back range. They see value, like we discussed the hand with Nick Palma last time, and he took a line like to protect his checking range and check calling range. He had jacks. He called pre. Call flop when he flopped middle set, and everybody's like on his case saying like, oh, he should have raised, he should have bet, he should have done this, that. He was playing it passive a little bit. It's GTO approved, and everybody's down his neck because they act like he butchered the hand. And it was
everybody acts like they're an expert, and that's back to when I was first saying the first question, like in GTO, nobody's playing GTO. They might play some GTO ranges pre-flop, and we do our best to learn it, and we do our best to, implement it in game. But it's so complex, and there's so many nuances. If somebody takes a size that's rarely used, now that completely throws us out of our game tree that we're familiar with, and we're just guessing at that point. And so it's
you know what?
And then people act like they are so studied and so correct all the time.
And they're not.
One thing
and they're not. They
crazy.
Clear, simple line, and they take it and they think this is the correct way to play. I'm not saying it's wrong to see a value hand and bet it, but they're not thinking like 5-6 steps ahead. That taking a check call line sometimes to protect your value hands. That not every time you check call that means you're weak, and every time you check raise that means you're super strong. To kind of disguise it, it's about being unpredictable. They don't understand that. They see the simple, the only node that's like so simple, value. They go for a big bet. They think that's the only line you should take, and it's not the case. But anyway, let's see how Ponakov is going to react.
Okay.
Set of 5s, which would be a foil. Set of deuces, ace 5, ace deuce. Seems unlikely. 2 didn't check raise flop. Flushes, of course, in Vieira's range.
Flushes for sure.
You know what? I got to mention this. There's a meme online butchering, what's her name? Kim Kardashian, playing with mirrored glasses. I always make a comment like, I don't get this meme because pros wear mirrored glasses all the time. Everybody like, she's so dumb, she's this, she's that. All the pros are like, look at this guy. He's playing a high roller. High
You got a lot
roller.
better eyes. You got a lot better eyes than me if you can read somebody's hand from their mirrored glasses.
Right.
I mean,
they
don't-
butchered her for wearing mirrored glasses. Look at the pros. That's the one meme I'll
Everybody's
never
ready.
get. Yeah.
Bluffs, they mainly are like the 3-4x, like king 3 suited, king 4 suited that doesn't have spades.
Yeah. King 3 of hearts.
I don't
king
believe
4
a
of hearts,
pair
for
needs to
sure.
turn itself into a bluff. It often would just check through and win, in case Vieira had like pocket 3s, 4s, 5x, deuce x.
Over $1 million pay ladder between third and second.
There's a 1 million ladder.
Heaps of ICM pressure.
Oh.
And given that the flush is being interfered with by the 9 of spades, I
Seven-figure
feel
ladder
as though
coming
the
up.
6x.
So this is not really $1 million decision, because if he calls and he's wrong, he still have 9 million, which is like almost a little less than 40 bigs. So,
Yeah.
but chips are so valuable right now. Like you're talking.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Is maybe more where Jiao's range lies, provided that he isn't bluffing, but it is a little bit difficult to come up with the bluffs. It looks like Ponikov's is going to be in the ace-9, and Vieira had 8.
8 3 of hearts.
There it is. Yeah.
Just naked
The heart
gutter.
with the gut shot.
Gutter,
The backdoor flushes and the gut shot. Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it was easy for me to say I wasn't in the in the blender there with $1 million pay jump, but I think we're just a little too high up in our range there, especially with the 9 of spades blocker. The fact that we rarely, I won't say we don't, but we rarely check back flushes on the turn. We don't really have sets. We're certainly betting sets on the turn. We do have like ace 6. We've got ace king, ace queen, ace jack, ace 10 with a spade blocker, but these are hands that we are going to call anyway. So I still think
You're flicking the call there, huh?
I think I'm flicking in the call there. I really do. But who knows? I might be a station.
Yeah,
I'd be surprised. I would be shocked if GTO folds that hand there. Shocked.
No,
If-
GTO doesn't do big folds. That's the
Yeah.
thing. Solvers don't do big folds.
Yeah.
Big folds are only exploitative,
Yeah.
especially with the 9 of spades, like you said.
And like going back to who's our opponent? That's the first thing we should be asking ourselves in every decision. Who is our opponent? Number one, and it's Jiao Vieira. And this guy is not just a live crusher, high stakes. He's been crushing online, high stakes online for a decade. This guy,
The kid takes lines. I saw him on Inside the Mind of a Pro. I mean, he just
great
needs
show.
an excuse to get out of line. I mean, his thought process is really advanced. He's on another level, but he just needs
Him
an
and Mateo's
excuse to
vote.
get out of line. So
Yeah.
I agree with you. On
If
flipping
anybody's
it.
going to have bluffs there, it's going to be him. And I mean, look what he shows up with: the gut shot with the backdoor flush draw, and then once that check line comes in, to reiterate what you said, we look like we have a hand that wants to show down, but isn't too confident in getting 3 streets of value. And what are we going to do? We're going to try to get an ace X composes most of that range. And in order to get an ace to fold, we got to go huge. So, I mean, he took a great size.
And it's not a GTO approved because his blocker effect is like none. He's not blocking that. Like if he had 8-3 with the 8 of spade, like at least a spade blocker to take that line.
He just doesn't have offsuit hands there, really, though. You know what I mean?
True.
He does. He has some, but very few 3x or 4x
Some,
offsuit.
but they're not completely garbage like 8-3. He's never calling 8-3 off. He's calling 8-3 suited, jack 3 suited, king 3 suited, all the gutters with the spade.
Sure.
But never like offsuit. That's the thing. That's a mistake that amateurs play. They've seen on some podcasts that you need to, defend the big blind. They're defending the whole range. They're defending all the garbage, like 9-4 off, 4-6 off, and it goes multi-way. Now, they flop like bottom pair, and they don't know what to do. You can defend wide, but not the whole range. There are some hands that just cannot continue.
I mean, that's kind of back to your first question you asked, where do people think they're playing GTO and they're actually torching money? Defending the big blind, defending 100% versus early position openings, defending big blind with 30% of the field left versus an under the gun open. Our defend range shrinks from something like 80% or 85% to like 60%. Because we are just not going to be able to realize our equity. We need to be conserving chips for when we do get a big hand and we want to double. And we're just defending versus a strong, robust under the gun one range. And we're just not going to realize our equity often enough. And in ICM, you add a 5% risk premium on there, you're not getting the odds you need to call these hands. And I see it time in and time out, and I'm eliminating these hands like 6-4 off. I'm eliminating from this guy's range, and he just shows up with it, and I'm like, oh, well, apparently you're just defending 100% still, even though we're 2 tables away from the bubble.
You said it. What you said is gold. They're not adjusting their ranges. They don't understand. First of all, they're not positionally aware, and you know what? Yesterday, somebody opened under the gun. I 3-bet 8s. Usually 8 versus an under the gun open is a pure call.
Pure call. Yeah.
Right away, I'm like, this guy's not studied. I can 3-bet 8s here just because he's opening a similar range from everywhere. So if you open under the gun, you're 3-betting 8s in the cutoff. But because this guy is not studied, I can 3-bet him with 8 spot, pre-flop and play post against him in position. So they're not positionally aware. Yes, and they're not adjusting their ranges. Their ranges, I'll tell you how they adjust when close to the money and ICM gets into play. They're adjusting by being super nitty and super tight. That's what I see in live game.
For sure.
They're super nitty. The 3-bets are like queens plus, and the shoves, they get super short. They don't go after the blinds. They're not attacking. Just super nitty game. That's how they adjust. They want to min cash. They min cash a lot. But there's no win. They're not going to make top 5 or top 3 spots.
They're not going for it. Another thing I see that people do not adjust for enough in an ICM environment is they're not morphing their ranges. So whereas like under the gun one, we can open Jack 9 suited, Queen 9 suited, King 9 suited in a normal environment. Those hands, 10-9 suited, those hands become, even if we are 50 effective in ICM, we want to trim those off, and we start opening like Ace 8 off, Ace 9 off, all these hands that block rejams and 3-bets because we're in an ICM environment. ICM basically is a game of, I forget where I heard this from. I think it was one of the Jaka's courses. It's a game of pre-flop chicken, right? We don't want to see flops. Nobody wants to see flops in an ICM environment. We want to raise and take it down and go to the next hand, because when we start playing flops and playing post-flop, we're taking equity from myself and yourself, say we're playing a hand, and we're giving it to everybody else at the table, right? Because we are playing, and that's not what you want to do. You want to 3-bet a lot more in ICM and call a lot less. I mean, people overcall too often anyway, obviously, pre-flop. But you want to start morphing your ranges to more Ace-X, King-X type blocker hands and away from the suited connectors, even more so than when you're shorter in
that's a very good point. And you know what's so important in late stages, TGT main event. When I tell people that I was card dead, they think I'm like boasting that I made a deep run without getting cards.
Yeah,
I swear I was folding for hours on end. That's why I didn't get any bounties. I only got lucky and picked a 5K bounty. A guy basically donated chips. My point is, it's so important to steal blinds. In later stages, we got the blinds were 200K, 400K. So each pot had $1 million in the middle. So stealing blinds without cards is so important to stay alive and keep your stack healthy. The way the guy donated his chips, he opened cutoff. I just flatted from the small blind with Ace-7 of heart. The guy is like Haitian. He was giving lessons at the end of every hand, critiquing certain plays. He was that type of player, obviously not studied or anything, just winging it. So Ace-7 heart, flop comes King 7-3, 2 hearts. I check, he 2x pot, all in, snap, shove. I called, he had Ace-5 offsuit, no equity whatsoever. Brick
to 2-5.
It gives me like 5 million in chips, or 6 million in chips, I think. It was sick. But my point is, like, the pots late when you said like we want to open and not go post flop, just stealing like once per orbit, stealing blinds, you keep your stack healthy, and you don't even need to make hands.
You don't.
I was
that.
doing some really out of line stuff on the button versus blinds. Just hand reading post flop, like I know exactly where they're at, and I was almost playing like a net overstat blind. Like my hand did not matter.
Doesn't matter.
Playing post flop, stealing. And when they called, when they defended, I even gained more chips by not making I did not make a hand, but except that hand, like that was a big boost. But I made a mistake against the guy that won. He 3-bet. I continued with king queen suited. It's just folding king queen suited to a 3-bet is like so nitty. And this guy like gets out of line, but
I don't
like
know that we can, especially not versus somebody that's getting out of line. It's just too robust of a hand.
You're right. I think that hand was borderline mistake because ICM was in play. There wasn't that many. Maybe 2 guys were shorter than me. So it was borderline, maybe folding there. I mean, of course, if I made a hand and won the pot, we wouldn't be talking about this. But I bricked the flop.
Put it in.
I think it's a little bit of a torch in that spot. Maybe just because they're doing it too tight. I didn't have that much information on the guy.
Sure.
You want a value hand. You don't want to get snapped there and him showing you ace king and you torch. You don't want to torch at that point. The pay jumps weren't big at that point. We were down to like 8-handed, and it was at that time if you cash out like that, the money didn't get serious till top 5. It was like 774 in 5th. But then the real money gets serious in like 3rd and up. It was like I think 12,
35, 21, and 15.
Yeah, second was 21, third was like 12K or something. So the real money didn't start to like. So laddering up was important, especially with like 2 short stacks. That's why I didn't put it in. But king queen suited is like having 3 cards. So I called, I bricked the flop. It was like jack high, no diamonds, C bet. I took it down. But that got me kind of short. I went from like 10 million to like 7, I think. I forgot the exact sizing. But anyway,
it just depends on. I mean, it depends on so much, right? In these situations, like how many people are shorter, what's the average stack, like how out of line is this guy getting? Once again,
he was getting out of line.
So if we know he's getting out of line, king queen suited it's plenty enough hand to turn into a bluff. And if we're gonna have bluffs, if he's out of line and we're gonna have bluffs, we want some equity. We want suited equity. So I think it almost is too good to turn into a bluff. So I think it's either call or 4-bet jam there. But I don't know what you were effective stack wise or whatever.
The deepest stack, he was the deepest stack. The blinds were I think 300K.
Yeah.
So I had like 10 million. So I had like 33 bigs. He had about like 14 or 15 million. So he was deep. He was the deepest at the table. He had like 50 bigs. Everybody else had 20 and sub 20.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm just peeling pre-flop then. I mean, but of course, like if we open 2 bigs and he 3-bets to a standard size of like in this ICM environment, he should be 3-betting to like 4.5. But if he makes it like 6, 6.5, maybe
he made it 4. He made it like 4.2, 4.3, something like that.
Oh, yeah, then it's just too good of a hand to fold. It's not a torch.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm like, folding king queen suited here would be like, I know they would fold king queen suited. I'm not folding king queen suited.
No, it's just too playable. We know exactly where we are once we hit.
Yes. And king queen is dominated a lot versus their 3-bets. I don't know versus his 3-bets.
Sure.
And the hand
against the ace queen, ace jack suited 9s, 10s plus 3-bet range. Yeah, king queen suited is dominated a lot, but we have to trust our post flop reads and playability and just figure out where, if he wants to put a stack in once a king high board comes out, we're obviously probably not very good.
The guy wasn't scared to put chips in. That's the thing. Light, super light. Yeah. Some of the hands he played, he was putting that, chips in super light and piles. He wasn't scared post flop. Then it all made sense when they told me he's a high stakes PLO player.
So yeah, he probably plays with first place money on the table.
Yeah, exactly. That's a huge factor when somebody's fearless.
Absolutely.
You play against them a little different than somebody that's like afraid to put, lose $200. So
yeah, sometimes you just got to put on your seatbelt and
and I would have put my seatbelt. I'm a maniac. I've done a couple things in the mid-tournament that I don't even talk about. They were way out of line. And it would have cost me a lot. And I swear to God, when they folded, I'm like, I can't believe this got through. It was a fold with no. It was a bluff with no equity whatsoever versus a guy that doesn't know me, and I went way out of line with a hand. I bet flop, bet turn, and he just snap call. The river breaks, and I just send it like 2x pot. If he calls, I'm out like mid-turn. We were down to like 24-25 last 3 tables, and the guy folds river. I'm like, oh my God, that's it. I'm making a deep run.
Yeah,
but
see, the good thing about the good thing about it is when you bet flop, bet turn, and he snap calls, that's telling you something about he's not thinking about raising, so that's telling you something about the strength of his hand too, that he's medium, and so
it was a drawing board. When they do it on a draw heavy board, it's always a draw. Like when they snap, when they put the money in, like I'm not scared. They think they're showing you that they're strong, but in reality, it's a draw every time. But it wasn't a draw heavy board. It was ace X board. It was actually a similar board to the ace deuce 5 in the video we watched. Yeah. So I bet small on the flop, and he was in the big blind. I bet small on the flop. Turn is inconsequential. It was like a 10. He check. I bet like 90% pot. He calls. Most of the time, he fired 2 barrels. Like that's it. They're calling river. Yeah. River was a brick, like a 7. He check. I send it. Of course, I didn't send it right away. The fast bet on the river where you see it all the time, it's mostly a bluff. I go in the tank, I'm trying to get a read on him, like, can I pull that trigger? Is he gonna call? And I sent it and he folded.
Well, you got him to fold an ace.
I don't know what he did not show, and he goes nice hand.
Sounds like a medium ace to me.
And I had air, complete air.
Yeah.
There's you know what? We didn't even like cover 60% of the question. Let me fire a real couple of fast questions, and we're gonna watch a video with our boy Ryan Hogan. They're talking shit about Ryan in the GTO lab. They're saying, I mentioned it earlier. It's a final table hand. He 4-bet kings, and we'll watch the video in a little bit. But let's fire up some quick questions here.
All right, let's do some rapid fire.
What's a common line in live poker that's almost always nutted or almost always weak?
All right, so if we've done nothing but show strength, we raise, we bet flop, we bet turn, and now they donk into us on the river, almost always strength. Almost always.
Good one.
Versus, like, we're talking versus randoms and unknowns. Like, if I raise flop, or I raise pre-flop, I bet flop, I size up on the turn, and now you're taking over the initiative on the river, you're not Jiao Vieira. You don't have, you don't have these correct bluffs. You just hit your hand. And you almost always call, and say I've got ace king. The flop is ace 3-5, I see bet. Turn is a queen. I continue large because we're going to put pressure on his whole range. He calls, river's a 7, and now you're leading into me on an ace high flop when I bet flop and turn. You've got ace 7 here, and they almost always have it. They really do. When they take over the initiative after 3 streets at least, including pre-flop of aggression, I find that randoms and recs and bad regs are almost always nutty. It's like
literally happened yesterday. Yeah. Same scenario. Limp. It was limp. The guy happily limps under the gun. Older. He's like in his 50s.
I love
limp. Comes back to me. Ace king. I make it 6x. Yeah. He called. Heads up. He's out of position. Ace queen 6 flop. He checks. Sure. I bet small. He calls. Turn is a 7. He checks. I check back for pot control. Yeah. River is a brick. He leads 10K into like a 30K pot.
Yeah.
I call. He shows 6-7 suited. He took exact line that you just mentioned.
Well, a little different. You check back turn, so there is some. You will find a few more bluffs on that line because they're going to probe when he checked back. He doesn't have anything. They're gonna feel free to fire a few more bluffs there. But if we bet flop, bet turn, and now they're taking over the action and donking river, it's almost always another one. If you get check raised by an unknown in a 3-bet pot, and you don't have top set, fold. No, maybe not that. Maybe not that bad, but yeah, if you're getting check raised in a 3-bet pot, you better believe they can beat an overpair. They've got a set, they've got 2 pair, they've got very rarely a super nutted combo draw, but that's the best you can hope for that they have.
This is a question that's not even like stated, but I just thought about it. Is there a deviation that's like a James McKinnon signature play? Like I have a couple. But do you have a play that's not theoretical, but you pull the trigger in some spots and it works? Do you have that?
I mean, definitely, those 2 exploits that I just talked about are a cheat code versus Rex and low stakes regs. That where they're just going to struggle to find the right amount of bluffs, and then now they're taking over the betting lead against you, or check raising you in big pots. People that are understudied and that don't play online and don't. Or haven't played for years, you'll find some cagey regs that are older that have a kind of a YOLO streak to them that they don't care because they've seen so many hands. When they take these underbluffed lines, they're underbluffed. They're going to be strong. So fold. I overfold in these situations where a solver would never fold. Like you said, solver doesn't make big folds, but you can trust that they just are under bluffing in these lines, and we can just fold. And you know what? If they exploit me and they happen to get one through with me, 10% of the time when they are bluffing, some random cagey old reg, cagey old guy gets one through on me. Congratulations, you exploited me. But on average, I'm going to make more money over folding in these spots.
100%.
I tend not to do the things that I used to do, like the bet small on the turn, in position to check back river type stuff or stuff like that. Just because I want to play a more balanced range, unless I'm playing a very, very weak opponent. Because I feel like we're losing expected value when we do things that aren't for a point of bluffing or value betting. If we're betting to check to have an easier decision later, that's not really a thing. That doesn't make us money. Trying to think of like
my deviation.
Yeah.
My deviation that's not GTO approved, and I've never heard anybody talk about it, but then I saw Mustafa Kanat do it.
Mm-hmm.
It was outside the mind of a pro. It was something I've done before. Then I saw him do it, and he actually verbalized it.
Yeah.
Solver likes to check a lot from out of position with value and bluffs.
Sure.
Sometimes if I'm playing against the amateur that I know if he takes the lead, he's going to bet big on the flop, and I want to control the size of the pot, I might lead from out of position, even though I know GTO wants to check in that spot. I might lead just to control the size of the pot. So instead of betting half pot or like pot, I would bet like third pot. Sure. So here I'm controlling the size of the pot because I know if I check the villain, he's going to size big, and I don't want to face a big bet.
Right.
So I would control the size of the pot, whether it's like mostly if it's like a bluff or like a semi-value hand. You know what I mean? Like a
right. You got a middling hand or a hand that wants to see a turn for cheap. I get it. I mean, you're basically block betting
block betting is using like smaller. It is a type of block bet, but like block betting is using like 10% pot. I'm doing like 30% or 20% pot just to make it, because I don't want to play a bloated pot against that guy. Like if he starts betting big on the flop and now the pot is bloated, I don't want to play from out of position. I don't want him to take control of I want to still have the initiative, and I want to control the pot.
Keeping the initiative is something that's fairly important, that is underrated in my opinion.
Of course.
but more so in position. I like keeping the initiative. Out of position, I tend to play a pretty heavy check range when I'm out of position, especially early versus early or late versus late, where the ranges are either equally strong or equally weak. Now, when there's a big gap and it's early versus late, I have a little bit of a range advantage. I can play a little bit more of a betting strategy there. But
that's a great concept that players don't even understand. Late versus early, like late versus big blind, is completely different ball game than late versus late. And I see them make that mistake. We play completely different on certain boards, like ace high, king high, all the Broadway boards versus big blind. Then you play against a button defend or late versus late, like you say. Yeah, that's a great concept. By the way, last time something was mentioned in the league, Andra said it, and she said, I said on one of the podcasts, don't donk bet. And she said she listened to me and she stopped donk betting, and then it cost her money. It was a very funny comment that she made. She said she heard me say somewhere that donk betting is bad, and she stopped donk betting. And then she said that I said now that the solvers are approving donk bet. The way she made the comment was fine. She said it in the league, and I was surprised because I didn't even think that I would. I don't know. It was funny.
No, I mean, on certain boards that we should have a donk betting range, right? Like, I mean, when we're in the big blind and we're short, like say 30 bigs, and it comes out 3, 4, 5, where there's 3 straights that we have all combos of in our range, we have a huge range advantage now. And so we need to donk bet a certain part of our range.
Solvers, 2016, 2015, that was frowned upon. If you see some older people would do that, like they would.
Yeah. Absolutely.
They would hit a hand and start leading, and the pros would laugh at it. They'd be like, what are you doing leading?
But that's why they call it the donk, right? They called it the donk bet because they were donkeys.
Over, came into play, and now it's approved. It's insane.
And that goes back to what we were saying earlier. No matter how bad somebody seems, there's something good in their game that we can take away from it for sure.
And it's hard to play against the lead, the donk.
It is. But I will say, people that do it on boards that they're not supposed to do it on, that goes back to your prior question. This is something that is almost always weak or middling. Is, we open early and it's ace king 3, and now the big blind donks into us. I think we may have lost Carl there. He'll be right back, guys. See if I can read some of these comments. Oh, that's all been covered. All been covered there. Hopefully Carl will be back momentarily. There we go. He's back. I feel like I put in a big river bet, and now my opponent is tanking. I should just sit here. bit of technical difficulties, guys. Please bear with us.
Sorry, but can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back. There we go.
Oh my God, I'm having this technical issue and I don't know what's causing it, if it's the software or it's pretty sick.
Yeah, it happens. I wish I had a whole handful of jokes I could have told while you're gone, but instead I told the audience I felt like I had just put in a big riverbed.
I heard you. I can see
was
you.
in the tank.
I can see you, but my camera the software kicks me out for some reason. Anyway, let's continue. I can edit this in the edited version and take this whole part out. Let's watch.
Go ahead.
Sorry, let's watch the Ryan Hogan video real quick and wrap this session up with this, okay?
Sounds good.
It's going to be Ryan is going to 4-bet the kings. That's the hand. Let me set it up real quick.
Okay. For what it's worth, I think your camera is still lagging a little bit here and there. Just a heads up.
I'm thinking maybe it's my Wi-Fi.
Okay.
A little more brain busty. Not the 7-4. Know a story about that one to get tangible enough here. I think we got to fold. So I 3-bet kind of.
Definitely don't like 3-bet calling.
Fair enough. So ultimately, Kaio, which I hope is how you pronounce his name.
Chow. That's like Chow Pimenta, right?
Cow?
Chow. I think just say Chow, right? Isn't that? Remember, that's how like Chow Pimenta on Stars used to spell it. I think it's like a
But then
common.
the I and the A are in the wrong place. All right.
Chow.
Maybe it's
I don't know.
Chow. All right. So Chow does end up 3-betting, which I kind of want to skip over this decision because I think there are bigger fish to fry down the line in this hand. So this is actually, I find, a pretty common spot that people find themselves in, because what happens is you look at a bunch of sims and, like you alluded to, a lot of the answers that you get is when you're like 30-ish big blinds deep and you're up against the covering stack, you don't really play any flats and you just 3-bet kind of linear. I'm generalizing it here, and I actually don't think it super applies to this spot, but it is easy to find yourself in a spot where you weren't really that polar, maybe accidentally, maybe on purpose to begin with. You 3-bet the 10s, kind of because it's what you thought you're supposed to do because you looked at a bunch of sims.
What do you think about what he's saying here? The thing is, population, the people that are going to be playing this main event, a lot of them are not going to be studied. They see value hand, they bet. They're not polar. They're more weighted towards value when they 3-bet. Like the 3-bets barely have any like ace-5 suited, any semi-bluffs.
I think versus an under the gun open from the hijack from middle position here, I think 10s should be flatting. Now in an ICM environment, it will probably start using 10s and maybe 9s as kind of like bluff 3-bets to bluff bet and fold. But that's in like a hard environment where we're going to get squeezed a ton because we can't really call a squeeze too often. Now, I don't know the rest of the chip stacks at the table. So maybe he's just like knowing that in an ICM environment, we should be 3-betting more often. And so that's why he chooses to do it. But I don't like the 3-bet here with 10s because, one, we don't want to face a 4-bet jam. And 2, we're not going to get squeezed off our hand enough I mean, this is a 3,500, but still the large majority of people that make it in live tournaments aren't studied. They're not squeezing enough. They're not putting the pressure on like we would be in like a 600 or a 1,500 online event where you're just going to get squeezed every time you flat here. So, I don't like the 3-bet here with the 10s.
I don't like it either. I don't like it either. But let's see what happens. By the way, they're both wearing Jaka coaching patches.
I think
I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name. Jaffe said Chow. I don't think it's Chow. Is CIAO. It's but Divorce corrected him. He's like cow. But anyway,
Yeah.
Let's watch what happens. That's exactly what happens. He gets jammed on by Hogan.
See, this is just a disaster when we get jammed
The
on.
whole point, I'm showing this video, and I texted Ryan this video. I'm like, they're talking shit about you because they say when he 4-bets, I think Jaffe or Dvorak says, oh, this guy looks like he has a family, basically saying that he's not getting out of line when he 4-bet jams. And he says something about him being nervous and about to get CPR or something. You'll hear the chatter here. Like, and I said it before we started recording, like, this is Hogan's demeanor, whether he's playing like a 200 bind or 3,500 bind.
It's just his style.
Yeah. He's not nervous. I mean, I guess breathing heavy is just standard in these spots. But let's see what they say here.
And then you get shoved on. And that sucks because you have tens and the third biggest stack at the table and the second biggest stack at the table shoved on you. And now you're in a tough spot. So very easy to get lost in this spot, especially if you got here by kind of thinking, well, I'm not supposed to have a flattening range, but tens are too good to fold. So I 3-bet and then oops. So I know you don't want to 3-bet here to begin with, John, but let's say I forced you to. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, I'm thinking a few things. The first is that 9-handed. This guy seems like he's probably got a family. I don't think.
You heard it? This guy probably has a family. Before hearing Jaffe's breakdown, what are you thinking here when you get 4-bet jammed? Like, what does Ryan's range look like?
As well, first off, before I start ranging him with tens, it's just a snap fold. We're the third biggest stack at the table. He covers us. Like we said, we're not supposed to have a 3-betting range or a flatting range, so we 3-bet here. And I gave the reasons why I think we can flat. But once he 4-bet jams, it's just snapping the muck. It turns it into a bluff. It would be an absolute disaster to get it in here. And to answer your question now, I mean, maybe Ryan occasionally puts in the ace-5 suited here, ace-4 suited, but 9 times out of 10, it's ace-king plus jacks plus, which he's not doing it with nines.
I don't even think he's 4-betting jacks. Like, that's the thing. That range is so condensed and narrow. Yeah. It's like kings and ace.
It might be queens plus. You're right. It might be queens
plus. Maybe. Like, I don't even see him doing that with ace-5 suited. I feel like it will be a punt versus somebody that's. I don't know the dynamic between them. Like, I don't know how many showdowns. Right. They've probably been playing for hours, so I don't know if there's a dynamic between him and Cow, but 4-betting.
Here's the thing. The only reason we bluff is so that we get called by our value. So if he doesn't have ace-5, ace-4 suited, then I'm beating those chips, his raising chips into the muck with my tens. Right. Like, he's just, if he's got queens plus ace-king, we're like 30% against that range. It's
and again, like Dvorak and Jaffe, I'm sure they haven't played. They played the 35. Dvorak doesn't, but Jaffe plays that 3,500 because he mentions earlier that the Hard Rock is like 15 minutes from his house, and Daniel said, "Oh, it must be nice." But Jaffe and Dvorak are playing on the Triton where players are capable of 4-bet bluffing. These guys are not 4-bet bluffing that much, that often.
Very seldom. And I think that's what he meant by looks like he has a family. Like he's saying this guy is like not your average Joe, but he's like also like this means something to him.
Responsible.
Like,
yeah.
So he's not going to just get super out of line here and have enough bluffs. Even if he does have the occasional 4-bet bluff, that's ace-5 suited. That's 4 combos with ICM pressure, which has got to be in the upwards as the third stack being covered by the number 2 stack. That's got to be upwards of risk premium of upwards of 20%. So if we're
exactly what Jaffe said, he said 20% risk premium.
Yeah, so if we're 40% against his range, and now we have 20% risk premium, now we need 80% equity, and the only hand that has 80% equity against range is like aces and kings. So like, and which would be no brainer get it in, right? So we really literally don't have a hand we can call here.
Agree. Let's finish the video and see. I mean, obviously,
he's
thankful
putting it in with ace-3 suited. It just seems like this is such a tight 3-bet. I maybe we get somewhere in the meta at some point that non-psychopaths might 4-bet jam something other than ace king that we might want to call off against. But I don't think we're there right now. I think that it's not going to be nines. He's not even opening a ton of under pairs realistically. And this was a super tight 3-bet. It sucks, but I think we got to fold. Also, that dude, he had chest palpitations. I mean, he looked like he was being given CPR.
Yo, they're talking so much. Ryan, he should make palpitations and CPR. What? This is way out of line.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it. I mean, he folds, of course.
Yeah, of course he's got to fold.
Folding would be a suicide.
Yeah, I don't even know if we can call kings there, to be honest.
Kings probably call. I mean, we're not folding kings, but that's about it.
We're not thrilled about it, but we're not
Jacks,
folding, right.
Jacks, tens is snap folding. Queens thinking about it. Kings, of course. I'm not folding.
This is why we don't 3-bet these hands. Like,
yes,
tens, jacks. We just want to see a flop. We 3-bet most of our hands, but the ones that we want to continue against and don't want to get 4-bet on, we have to just we have to call those and then fold versus aggression behind us. Versus a covering stack, of course. Uh-oh.
Let's wrap it up with some rapid fire questions here. We're at the 2-hour mark.
All right, sounds good.
It was fun. I really enjoyed it. The time flew by.
Yeah, it was excellent. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, of course. It was, of course. Least favorite hand to look down at?
The last one that I took a major beat with. Just anything that I have to fold.
Oh, good one.
Whether it's, Jack 7 suited under the gun or Jack 8 suited under the gun. If it was 1 pip higher, I can open it. That type hand.
You know what? I didn't ask. Is poker it for income or what do you do for a profession? I never asked that question.
It was for a long time. It still is mostly. I do have some passive income through investments, but it's mostly poker still.
Poker. Do you play any cash?
I do play cash from time to time. I play online a good bit, and then I play at the Derby occasionally, and then occasionally the Hard Rock will get me to drive over there and play. And but yeah, mostly poker. But I've got some real estate investments and some index funds in the market a little bit, and nothing huge, no huge positions. Did have some Bitcoin in and out of Bitcoin positions and other crypto positions for ever since about 2015, but didn't hold anything. Don't have any like major crypto holdings anymore, unfortunately. I wish back in the day when I think it was Merge Poker or maybe Carbon Poker was paying you out in Bitcoin, and I'd kept more of it. But I have paper hands when it came to Bitcoin. It went from 5K to 15K, and I was selling and making my money and then getting back in and out. But just investments and
we got an out of line question here.
Okay. I love out of line questions.
A little. I don't know if you're gonna want to answer this.
All right.
Who's the worst reg that thinks they're good?
Oh boy,
this is gonna make a good reel right there.
That's a good question. All of them. No. That's a good question.
That's a good political answer.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to stick with the political answer. I don't want to poke the bear and get targeted by any of these bad regs. So I'm just gonna put all of them out there and let them all target me.
Good one. One time we mentioned a name and I made a reel out of it and things got heated. I thought the two knew each other and they were friends and they weren't. And yeah, it created some controversy.
Yeah, I'm fairly when I'm not at the poker table, I steer away from conflict. So there's enough conflict at the poker table to get my vices on that. So I'm pretty passive on the
Have you ever tanked just to look smart?
No. I'm usually thinking about something when I'm tanking. I have gotten completely lost in the hand several times and tanked trying to find my train of thought again when I'm not like completely locked in, and like replaying the tape, rewinding the tape. How did he go from, or she, sorry, Jen, from
what?
How does one go from the flop, pre-flop to flop to turn? Does this make sense? And now I'm completely lost, and there's a big bet in there. And where
did you mention the name? Did you just mention the name? Did you say sorry?
No. I said he has made a bet, and then I said or she. Sorry, Jen.
Oh, okay, yeah.
When she was criticizing us for being sexist.
Yeah, girls can play too. Yeah,
girls do play too, and they will put you in just as many spots if they're good.
Some that comes to mind for sure. Yeah. Hindi is one.
But no, never tanking on purpose just to put off an image. I will tank from time to time to maybe balance my timing. You know what I mean? Like if I have a hand that is a snap, not pre-flop, obviously. I'm not one of those guys that like tanks with 8-4 off under the gun just to balance my pre-flop timing. But if it's like a close decision and I'm gonna muck, I will tank sometimes to kind of get like a read on how, once they put in a big bet, how comfortable does he look or she look, and this, that, and the other. There's some reasons for tanking, but usually not because I'm trying to look a certain way. Except
there are some players, they're hard to watch. They're always in the tank. They're always in the tank, even when there's no aggression before it got to them. I have a couple people that come to mind. I'm not gonna name them, but just every time it's on them, they're in the tank. Like pre-flop, what do you think about? You should be studying enough to know what hands you're gonna open, and they start thinking about a sizing. Like they know they're gonna open, and you look at them, they know they're opening, but now they're sitting here thinking about a size. Like what is there to think? 2.5x. That's it. Pretty clear cut. No, they sometimes open 8x, then 3x. Their sizing compared to the strength of the hand.
That's the easiest tell.
Yeah, and every time they're facing a bet, whether small or big, they go in the tank for like 30 seconds. And you can tell on their face, it's like not much going on there. It's like, does he have it or does he not have it? But it's not going beyond that.
Yeah.
So you're not giving us the juicy stuff about who is the bad rag.
Well, and to be fair, Carl, I did just move here 2 years ago, so I'm still trying to, make friends. I don't want to like make too many enemies. Maybe have me on in a couple more years, and I'll blast some people then.
Good. I didn't know that. I thought you've been here for a while, because the first time I noticed you was like maybe a year ago, but I didn't know you've only been here for like a couple of years.
No, I mean, I played Hollywood for the past 10 or so years. Occasional series, I'd go down to Hollywood, but I was in Brooklyn until 2 years ago. I was in Brooklyn for like 12 years, or Manhattan for 2 and Brooklyn for 10. Originally from the Carolinas, Charleston, South Carolina area. And then my wife got to do remote work, and she's like, where do you want to go? And I'm like, somewhere warm and near a casino, because I'm tired of driving 2 hours to get to the Borgata. So we moved here.
That was your home casino?
Yeah, that, Parx and Foxwoods, it was all between an hour and 45 and 2:15,
wow.
2:30.
That's a long drive.
Yeah, pretty annoying. So I would usually go in for a series and stay, or if I was going to go play cash, I'd try to stay a couple days, because 2 hours on Interstate 95 just to play 8 hours and then turn around and drive 2 hours back. I mean, it was brutal.
Have you ever hit a downswing and you started contemplating a career change?
Yeah, there's been a couple times where it's, I mean, you do it long enough, you're going to hit some downswings, and when you think you can't hit a worse downswing, there's going to be one that's worse. Let's put it that way. I was downswinging, and you just can't play enough volume live to really get out of one very quickly. So, I mean, if I wasn't playing poker, I probably would have gone to law school. That's what my degree is in, political science. So I was contemplating becoming a lawyer when we moved to New York 12 years ago. Was bartending at the time, and then ended up going to Atlantic City and starting. I played plenty of tournaments online through the PokerStars Full Tilt era, and started playing live in AC, and just was making money doing it, and started making more money than I was bartending. So started just doing it as semi-professionally at first, and then professionally, and then I ended up not going back to school and getting my law degree. So, but there was definitely at least 2 times where I was like, all right, man, I gotta figure out something. This, and the older you get, the downswings hit even harder because it's a young man's game. The intense, rigorous thinking and being focused for hours upon end, and just to lose will take it out of you. It is brutal. But just try to find balance in the rest of your life and be happy outside of poker. Find hobbies, and it helps diffuse that just extreme negativity that comes with a prolonged downswing.
That's the beauty of tournaments. You can find balance because it's structured. Beginning, there's a beginning and end, and people that play cash and they have to set their own schedule. Some people have problems with setting schedule, so they're like overstay in session. Some, you know what? I didn't even know it's a thing, but I was in a tournament like a couple weeks ago, and we were bagging, and one guy was mentioned in front of his friend, and the guy was like, "Oh, this guy has a problem with poker." I said, "What?" Because for me, poker is like where I make money. It's never been. No, it's not like it's never been a problem. I was a losing player for years, and then like 16 happened, and I never lost, never had a losing year. But the guy was like, "Oh, poker is he has a problem. He stays here for like 3 nights in a row playing cash." I haven't heard that in a long time, where players have problems staying too long. I used to be that player a long time. I would never stay 3 days, but not having structure in cash, if you're not disciplined enough, it could be a problem. It's never a thing in tournaments because you don't determine. You determine when you show up, but you don't determine when the tournament ends. But there's an end to the tournament. It's not like a tournament's going to go 3 days straight.
And it's not like if you bust the tournament, you can register another tournament at 2 a.m. unless you're playing online, I guess. You can do that, but live.
True. But there's structure. There's a little structure in tournaments. It's not a thing in cash because you're your own boss in cash. And if you're having a problem with leaving, then it becomes an issue, I guess. But okay, let's finish up with this final question.
Okay.
Final table, you playing fearless or laddering like a net?
Funny. I think it depends on the stack distribution, what my stack is, and what my role is as that stack. I mean, if I'm a middling stack and there's a bunch of micro stacks, I'm laddering. I have to. It would be against, there's so much heavy risk premium on me that it would be incorrect to not. I might be making incorrect dollar EV choices, but when it comes to tournament equity, I'm making the correct choice. Now, if I'm the big stack, I'm never laddering. I'm putting max pressure on medium stacks. I'm going for it almost always. But if like I'm the third in chips and stack 1 and stack 2 fold, and now I cover the rest of the players, I'm basically the chip leader now, so I get to go for it. So it just depends on the stack distribution and where my stack falls in that. I hardly ever find enough reasons to fold, so I don't think that I don't know that I've ever. I mean, I've played a few 10Ks, mainly the main event, but I've played the win a couple times and a couple other 10Ks, and I do feel like I've never made a final table in something bigger than, I don't even know that I've made anything bigger than an 1100. But in an 1100 final table, the decisions didn't seem above my capability. I didn't find myself making incorrect folds because I was scared or anything. Coming with the studying comes a confidence in your decision making, and I think that I know to the best of my ability what a profitable play is given the circumstances, and I'm going to make that play.
That's the thing. Being studied is almost like being trained in like martial arts, and you get in a fight. Yeah, you know what to do. And being studied is like not all spots. Like in poker, there's always going to be a spot where you have no clue what to do.
Infinite game.
In the majority of spots, That's what I'm saying about people tanking what to open, like what size to open. If you don't know what you're gonna do pre-flop, like these things come automatic to me. I don't act that fast, like try to keep it balanced, but you gotta know if you're having trouble.
Know what you're doing.
Yeah, you have a lot of.
You got to simplify your decisions too, because otherwise you're just going to get decision fatigue in like level 4. You're just going to be exhausted from making so many decisions that. I mean, that's a real thing. Your brain wears out. So you need to have a heuristic of what you're doing in simple spots and not overthink them. Otherwise, come level 12, you're just going to be a jellyfish just clicking buttons.
You know what? I was talking about this today with the machine, Chad. We were talking about the Vegas schedule, and he was asking me when I'm going to go out there. And I said, I try to shorten it as much as possible just because I know towards the end, I'm not the same person that just got to Vegas because I stay there from June 5th, June 6th till they close the doors after the main event. Staying there for 4 or 5 weeks, playing every single day, sometimes making deep runs. It is so taxing. Like, it doesn't matter if you're an athlete, you're in the gym. It's not physical, it's mental. And when your brain is tired, your whole body is like.
It's not only mental, it's emotional and soul draining too. It's just like you just fatigued 100% physically, mentally.
I lose 10 pounds by the end, even though I'm like eating and keeping somewhat my routine in the gym and stuff. But you're gonna lose weight. It's taxing, highly taxing. So I try. Some people go out like May 28th, and stay, to the end. Some people like go and come. I don't like to go Vegas and then come back for a break. I don't like the whole thing. I go out there, stay out there, play the full schedule, but it's highly taxing. So I try to make it like out there June 6th, June 7th. Do you have a schedule? What's your schedule like?
I'm going out the 5th, one-way ticket out there on the 5th. Have a room booked for about a week and a half, and there'll be some decisions made. I don't do the whole 6 weeks anymore. I can't. Staying away from family too long, it's like we just spoke about. It's just exhausting. There will always be more tournaments. If I go out there and I'm on a heater, I'm not going to leave. But, if I go out there and I just get beat up, I'm going to come back home, and then I'll go back out around the main. So it'll be the 5th for the monster stack into I think there's a 1.5 or maybe a 2.5 at the Win around that time. There's also a 2,500 WSOP event that looks pretty enticing. But I'm just going out there on the 5th and kind of feel it out. That's kind of how I do it these days is open-ended and just see how it's going. And I'll be staying at least until the 12th or the 13th and then going back out around the main. Hopefully win a satellite or a main seat in the league. If not, then I'll go out a little early from the main and play a bunch of those milestone satellites. Those things are gold.
Yo, Josh Nicholson said Jones with the good hair. He does have a nice head of hair for sure.
Thanks, Josh. Appreciate it, man.
Josh, we need to talk about setting up the next podcast. Josh is gonna be next.
Yeah, the TGT Crusher, the mixed games guy. You got to get him on here for sure.
Dominator. He's won 3 events, I think.
Yeah.
Somebody said 2.5 because one of them was a tag team. You said something very important. You said one-way ticket. Guys, if you book the Vegas, one-way ticket because you never know what's going to happen. You never do. I always book one-way because you don't know. You can come back a millionaire or you can come back
very quickly not a millionaire.
James, thank you so much for coming on, my man. And listen,
you
want to co-host Josh's pod?
Yeah, let me know. Let's set it up.
Okay, well, I like diving in the theory. I think we gave a lot of information today.
I feel like we did. Yeah. Absolutely. I hope it was interesting for the audience. I hope we didn't ramble on too much and it had enough content in there.
I think we did ramble, but it was interesting stuff. I even got a text. Somebody told me I'm giving too much information, and I think they're right.
Probably so, right? But
they're gonna. I hope they don't exploit us at the tables.
Yeah, good luck with that, right?
See you tomorrow in the league. We need to step it up.
See you then, my friend. See you then. Have a good one.
Thanks, James. Thank you for coming on.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.